joking when you say you were a liberal or whatever. You were on the left.
No, I was no, bro. I rebelled against my parents by becoming a liberal and atheist like at 12, 13, 14. And I just rejected all religion, hierarchy, authority, everything, frankly. All those ideas. Because my parents were kind of strict and abusive, and even I did everything they asked me to, and it still wasn't enough. Like my dad had to humiliate me by, like one time I was supposed to go, my dad wanted us to have a Bible, like a like a home worship, right, at home, where you kind of read the Bible, you sing one or two psalms, pray together, right? And this was on Halloween. I was going to a Halloween party, and my friend was gonna pick me up and one of my friends, and my dad took that exact moment to start a worship. You know what I mean? He knew exactly what he was doing, right? And I get where he was coming from because he saw like Halloween as a non Christian, holiday, right? Very demonic thing. But at the same time, like I never got to hang out with my friends because my parents would always, take us places and shit like that. So I was like, really, the one time, right? The one time I want to hang out, this is the shit you do, and I have the ability to go and I asked it and got permission and everything. And I thought that was very petty, you know what I mean? Shit like that. But my parents would beat me and shit. Like it wasn't like my parents were just rude to me and that's why I became a liberal or some shit. I was very religious. I was Christian. I did everything they asked. I would do my religious things. I would read the Bible every day like they asked me to. I would do all my work, homework, and I would study all night, like they asked me to. I wouldn't drink or smoke or play video games all day like my friends did. That wasn't enough for them. I had to be more perfect than that or something. So it just got to me. I'm just like, dude, why are you treating me like I'm one of those wicked assholes doing drugs and smoking cigarettes and drinking with their friends every weekend when I don't do any of that? You should give me more leeway. And they gave me less weight, you know? So,
yeah,
but to be fair, I was like 12, 13, 14 still,
But what about healing? What about healing that trauma now? So, like, how do you do therapy and wellness?
Well, I just had my ways of dealing with it. Just mostly was religion and retroactive and being self-aware and part of like the process of healing. And I forgave both my parents. Now I have a great relationship with them, even though all that should happen.
Mhm.
And they'll still be annoying at times, but they've moved a little bit more toward me too. They're trying.
Yeah.
And they still are annoying and assholes at times, but um, you know, I can't. Well, I can't hate my parents. You know what I mean? You just have to forgive them, just like every.
But don't you?
How can you even talk about forgiveness if you don't even practice it?
Don't you view? Don't you view what they did as ignorance, meaning that they were unsophisticated?
Yeah, exactly. Not exactly. They were trying to prevent because they gave me good values. And
Mhm.
looking back, I know they loved me because they gave me really great values, right? And they taught me good things. And you can tell if you're an adult and have any kind of maturity, you can tell the difference between parents who are just assholes because they were parents and parents who didn't know any better, who are ignorant, or who overdid it because they didn't want their kids to be like the losers they saw in America, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you patched it up with them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this Wikipedia page about this book, Society of the Spectacle. Let me just read you something that it says. This is right up your alley. It says the spectacle is the inverted image of society in which relations between commodities have supplanted relations between people, in which passive identification with the spectacle supplants genuine activity. The spectacle is not a collection of images, rather, it is a social relation among people mediated by images. In his analysis of the spectacular society, Debord notes that the quality of life is impoverished, with such a lack of authenticity that human perceptions are affected and an attendant degradation of knowledge, which in turn hinders critical thought. Debord analyzes the use of knowledge to assuage reality. The spectacle obfuscates the past, imploding it with the future into an undifferentiated mass, a type of never ending present, In this way, the spectacle prevents individuals from realizing that the society of spectacle is only a moment in history, one that can be overturned through revolution. In the situationist view, situations are actively constructed and characterized by a sense of self-consciousness of existence within a particular environment or ambiance or ambience. Debord encouraged the use of détournement, which involves using spectacular images and language to disrupt the flow of the spectacle.
This sounds very postmodern. I think there's a lot actually of interesting stuff in postmodernism. But
So he goes into the comparison between religion and marketing, critique of American sociology, authenticity, plagiarism. It's a really great book. It's called The Society of the Spectacle. It's a 1967 work of philosophy and Marxist critical theory by Guy Debord, where he develops and presents this concept of the spectacle. The book is considered a seminal text for the situationist movement.
And what movie perfectly describes what he's talking about? I'll give you a hint. Suburban living.
the Truman Show?
No, it's an American movie that I'm thinking of.
What, The Dog Wags the Tail, that movie?
No.
I
I guess a lot of movies can fit this bill, but I was thinking of American Beauty.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have picked that one.
it's a good example. That's a very good
No,
example.
it is because the family pretends to be happy, but everybody is miserable, right? Right. That is the spectacle.
But there's a double entendre there.
And hold on, and there's right. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
The double entendre is that Kevin Spacey creates the spectacles while he rapes men.
Yeah. And then another one is they pretend they tend to be nice to their neighbors, but they don't like any of their neighbors, right? Yeah. So that's what like the suburbia can only exist because everybody's faking nice to each other.
You know, that movie when Kevin Spacey commits, it's a really fantastic movie because it brought to the forefront all these issues. I mean, I guess they were not issues, and that is the spectacle, meaning that a neighbor raping his, adolescent, juvenile neighbor, that whole thing, that love relationship between him and that young girl. This is the thing about communication hypnosis where the audience who watches they normalize, exactly. Yeah.
Correct. It's all suggestion. It's all propaganda. In a liberal society, everything is propaganda. Everything. It has to be.
Yeah, that movie is it's a good movie in the sense of like cinematography, but the messaging is absolute degradation and corruption of society.
Correct. It's justifying and normalizing it. Yeah.
I saw it around the time it came out. I know it was like acclaimed film at the time.
Their point is like suburban life is boring, so you should spice it up by fucking like your next door neighbor's teenage daughter and shit. Like, what else? I mean, the point is it's bad, but it normalizes these types of things in society. Like, do you guys remember the movie Ken Park for Kids? The 90s like shock genre. Do you guys remember this? So Kids was a bunch of teenagers in New York City.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. I almost puked in my mouth when I saw it the first time.
Yeah. Look at that shit, bro. Like they're like, even if it's supposed to be a cautionary tale, dude, like this is like crazy.
I'll never forget that the actor's like, she took care of herself. She used moisturizer.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, so that's the thing. And that movie with Kevin Spacey, the other thing about that movie is
the end scene of Kids where he like basically rapes the girl and you know that he's got HIV.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild.
yeah.
That was just like. Oh,
But don't forget the propaganda of that as well, because that was probably during Fauci's time and it didn't just come out, but Fauci administered poisons and like 300,000 AIDS victims died from, his cure. And Kennedy was just talking about that.
The AZT thing?
Yeah. And then there was that movie, The Dallas Buyers Club. It's amazing how Fauci, because of his lengthy career and, importance in big pharma, he he is really one of the most dastardly people ever because it's not really science. It's like Nazi freak science, you know? This is like experimental bullshit. And it's always ends up being poison because it's not necessarily organic medicine. It's, you know, experimental cocktails.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
everything in liberal society is an experiment. Technology, right? Science, everything is experimental. These are things that we've never crossed historically before. Having technology that fucks with our sexual function, right? Everything across the board. This is all these. Everything in liberal societies are all literally experiments, right? Because to me, the founding. Now that I understand politics a little more, the founding fathers were cultural Marxists. They were deconstructing themselves from European culture, American patriarchy, European patriarchy, um, Anglican Church, Catholic Church, primogeniture, which is passing down your religion and your family history and things down to the next generation. They banned that in the beginning of America. A lot of these founding fathers. So they literally got rid of the mechanism that made Europe what it was, and they wanted to start all fresh. But ironically, they still did a lot of the European things to do essentially.
I have a
But yeah, go ahead.
I have an interesting history discovery. I've been buying rare currency from the 1920s and 10s, and in Chicago, you know, Chicago is the city of Lincoln. Basically, we have Lincoln Park, we have Lincoln statues, and they had the Republican National Convention here, and the Republicans were considered like the purists versus these wicked, enslaving Democrat nasty people. And I would say that the Republican Party became like the Protestant Party in the sense that so the currency says the Republic of Chicago. People actually it wasn't called Chicago, it was called the Republic of Chicago. So the
Oh yeah,
concept,
until
yeah.
the 1860s, right? All the colonies saw themselves as different countries, just like in Europe, right? So even Thomas Jefferson, after he helps frame the Constitution, he says, "I must now go back to my country and deal with my affairs there." And he's talking about Virginia, you know. So we should have been separate countries, but by becoming more unionized, we became what would you say? Where like the federal government is able to make a law that affects everybody, and everybody has to follow it, right? So we don't have 50 distinct countries now. We have 50 countries under one umbrella, right? And that umbrella dictates which way we're going to go as states. And once we became that country now, Adrian, how do we can either the left and liberal go into those federal positions or the right wing?
Mhm.
And for the last 100 years, we've let leftists and liberals dominate the bureaucracy and executive bureaucracy, and all the institutions that we talk about all the time, media, right, university, etc. They dominated all of it. We let them dominate it. And
Listen,
we have the population that if we really fought back, we could have probably, in some ways, to some degree, but or created alternative universities. But we didn't do that on the right wing for the last 150 years. That's sad, bro.
listen to this. This is from the book Society of Spectacle. It says the spectacle presents itself as a vast, inaccessible reality that can never be questioned. Its sole message is what appears is good, what is good appears. The passive acceptance it demands is already effectively imposed by its monopoly of appearances, its manner of appearing without allowing any reply. And Google and Facebook have instituted a new censorship algorithm, which essentially in real time deletes your live stream if you use certain words. So the Thought Police in 1987, Google Face. It's I haven't seen it in the news yet, but like I should probably try to create a news article about it at least because like we're really living in a thought control paradigm now where X obviously is the only open platform of communication. Drudge reports, the whole mainstream media, the simulacra is literally acting as like the ocean for Kamala's boat, combine that with Dominion voting systems and how Alex Soros is best friends with everybody and like he just posts it all over his Instagram. I guarantee you that like there probably will be violent outbreaks, in protest to the installation of Kamala and Waltz?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think January 6th was a unique event because Trump was seen as like the height of power. And I think people who were there, and remember, there were like 100 some, just FBI or federal agent instigators, as well as clearly some extremist political and Proud Boy or whoever, those types of people who were there clearly to instigate. And so I think it was a unique event of right-wing violence. I just think there's not going to be, you need like something to light the spark. And
Well,
I don't think the spark is.
I just think that the rejection.
I don't like that spark anymore, though. Like, this is the first time in history that the incels are so comfortable that they don't have to join political revolutions to change the hierarchy.
Right.
And
Yeah, they get pacified. They're totally incels are a good point. Like incels used to be the force that would overthrow, but now.
No way. I don't think so.
Pacified by drugs and by cannabis.
Why do you think incels? Why do you think incels have been the first for change? I don't believe
No.
that.
It's usually another counter elite, but they galvanize the masses, to the incel masses who are like jobless, who are bandits and pirates, those types of people to join their revolution.
Yeah. I'm not saying violence is like obviously no one knows the future, but don't you feel like because of the simulation, it feels well, we know that according to all the information that like it's so highly controlled and manipulated. It's all a fraud. It's all a scam. It's all illusion and hypnosis. I mean, I just get the feeling like come this election, when everybody is fully disappointed, November 6th, there will be such like an overwhelming tide of disillusionment that there will, and then even then, the left will stage attacks. So, blame it on the political right. So it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, I'm not a violent person, like.
Well, look at actually, this is the
I think that's a more legitimate point.
This is the fate of all right-wing movements, post-liberalism. We get to even if we get violent, then we're seen as still more violent than the lefties who literally were super violent, right? This is the problem.
I mean. Yeah, but I do think like if right-wing violence were owned, if like you could legitimately galvanize the right, it would be all over. Like they're much more armed and dangerous.
It doesn't even take that, agent. And we're at a point where if all the guys just decide we're going to go on strike until women don't have the right anymore, it would take 2 days, maybe a week, maybe a month before everybody caves in and says, okay, come back to work, fix their shit again. They'll bring back power, bring back everything. Right? Honestly,
I never thought about that.
That's all it would take. If all the men just strike and said, fuck this shit, we're not dealing with this shit anymore, that is all that would take.
We want to repeal the, the 19th.
Yeah. And women in America only care about abortion, and like their economy is fourth on the issues that they care about. And if you look at the dichotomy of men versus women voters, women care less about everything except abortion, whereas men care more about women on almost every issue.
So I just went to the Polish Fest here in Chicago. It's a couple blocks from my house, and they had a history exhibit about protest and fighting the communists and how they were being terrorized by the communists and murdered by the communists. And so Chicago being a large Polish city, they were fundamental in organizing a global political movement against the situation in Poland with, the Soviet Union and all that stuff. And it's really interesting. There's a buzzword or a keyword they used. I can't pronounce it or repeat it from my memory, but the fight against abuse and tyranny, and then the political element attached to that, the West versus the East, it's like you can't get out of that paradigm. And the Polish people really, I mean, I don't know if they got screwed or they were assholes, but man, when Russia and Germany combined to duly, implode that country, like that. I mean, I don't even know the history and how many people died, but I mean, I have heard stories that the Polish people charged tanks with horses and swords, like it was that devastating. So they must have been obliterated. That history alone must be a really interesting research into bad political and military strategy, because Poland obviously, just totally raped beyond belief.
Yeah, yeah. 6 million Polish citizens perished during World War II, about one-fifth of the entire pre-war population of Poland. 20% in World War II alone.
Yeah. So
21%.
does that say that they were unaware of the dangers around them?
No, it doesn't. No, because like these, um, what I would call is like, what do you call these countries that are in the middle between giant powers geopolitically? They're just in this really bad situation between big countries on either side of them, and historically they've always been fucked one way or another.
I mean, I just view the Gaza Strip thing as being like a tremendous military error of confidence, meaning that they thought that holding hostages would actually give them a seat at the table to negotiate. And instead, they didn't understand that they were willing to sacrifice those people.
There's a pretty good right wing theory that they did that because Iran was getting into talks of getting into the free trade thing with the rest of the Middle East, with Saudi Arabia and everybody else. And when they heard that, the Palestinians Hamas decided to start that because they wanted to make sure Iran was still funding them. And if they lost Iran to the alliance between Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Iran for their economic benefit, they would have lost their biggest funder.
What about what
theory.
about the other theory about Russia bribing them to make the incursion, or Saudi Arabia?
Could be as well, right? Just to get to get, and then they had to split, armaments to Israel as well. That would actually make sense too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of chaos, additional chaos, like detracts from the Ukrainian effort.
Mm-hmm. And America has literally given away all our armaments, essentially, right? Missiles and bullets. We've literally given away all of them. And we actually got rid of the military-industrial complex over the last 7 years. But now, and we've deconstructed the global network of this global military complex. And now we're like, oh shit, we need to build more missiles and bullets.
Well, the Navy can't even recruit soldiers, and they're decommissioning ships at scale because they don't have manpower to man the Navy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have churches being out of business all across America and in Europe, and Muslims have started to buy up those places to convert them to mosques.
That's funny.
And they literally bought a church for like 300 grand and are converting it. And us Christians are so disorganized, we can't even buy some and turn it into a trust where we just maintain it.
Well, the Saudis fund a lot of these mosque developments.
I mean, yeah, it's a good idea for their perspective, and we're so weak we can't even do it on our own in our own land because we're so fucking disorganized that we're like, oh well, it happened,
Well, look at like this simulation in America. Like I mean, even yesterday the New York Times said, "Is the Constitution dangerous?" So that's telling you, like, I mean, as long as you know the Constitution, I have many like pocketbook constitutions and stuff. I mean, and I haven't really fully submitted it to memory, but basically, because all communication is hypnosis, no matter what category or topic of conversation that comes up, you can just completely ignore whatever somebody else is saying and just talk about the Constitution. And like, that's one way to totally circumvent somebody else's political communication. Sorry, sorry. Could you hear me? I was getting a red bar.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I had to. I think it's some water. What were you saying? Can you say it again?
I was saying,
Sorry, it's not Frank. Is it Frank? Adrian, sorry. Back. I gotta add you back.
No, this is Edmund. The resident troll of Clubhouse, who's only serious in my room and nowhere else.
So it's funny because I saw him in the audience the other because there's the Adrian Dittman on Twitter, and I'm like, oh wow. And then Adrian here was in the audience, and I was like, oh wow, it's Adrian Dittman, the Elon clone. And then I heard him talk, I was like, oh, sure.
Yeah, that
Pretty funny.
yeah, I'm mirroring him and I'm filming him. I've been doing it for like over a month now, and I have probably at least 150 Elon Musk videos up on YouTube Shorts, and they are going viral. So, as opposed to like recording Jazzy or Roger Mayhem, listening to a billionaire talk and burp and fart and be a pig like is far more valuable content than losers on this fucking app.
But it's not Elon. A lot of people think it's actually Elon, but it's not Elon.
It is, dude. It is Elon.
It's not Elon. No, you can tell
We
there's
don't- I'm
a
not-
difference in his voice.
Okay, I don't want to go down this road or this journey of discussion with you until you go to adriandittman.com and you watch my videos, and then it'll 100% beyond doubt prove to you that it is Elon Musk farting and burping in his Tesla.
All right. Okay.
Because I've had this debate with
And
many
maybe
people
is
on
at his
set.
point in his journey where he believes every conspiracy theory without any, with a very open mind. So
It's not conspiracy that Adrian.
real or not, because he's so open-minded that he just loses all rationality.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to go down. I don't want to talk about.
That a lot of this is the road that a lot of conspiracy theory guys go down. Like they start not believing in anything, even math.
Dude, come on, man. 1 + 1 = 3.
I did look into this, and then I found the videos where they're like talking at the same time, and there's so few of these where
I know, but you don't understand. He has a room listen, dude, agent, I'm not lying. I'm not trying to obfuscate or make things up. Every night at about 8 o'clock, Elon Musk creates a room called The Conversation under Adrian Dittman. And he creates memes and he writes about it, talks about it, and then he goes to his Elon profile. And when he did the Trump interview, he was on Adrian Dittman. Then he said, all right, gotta go, everybody. And then all of a sudden he goes live on Elon Musk. I mean, it's clearly, he can't go live on Elon. There's 400 million followers, but Adrian Dittman only has 120,000. He's been there for a year. Obviously, he created Adrian Dittman before he acquired X, because he acquired X in July of 2023. Listen, I've recorded him so many times now, and because I really do believe, because he doesn't have rooms on record. It's all just, there's no record. So I'm the only one probably recording him in real time, posting it to YouTube, and then I post the videos to Reddit, and I've like 100% confirmed it. It's 100% Elon Musk.
Must be special.
Do you think he's not social? Do you think he doesn't want to have regular casual conversations like this? He owns X. He wants to just talk. He wants to get his talk therapy moments. And he talks to these two Russians that he works with. I'm pretty sure they work at X or Tesla. And they're his workers. And he sits there and eats like a pig, makes everybody listen to him eat. It's disgusting. And I swear to God, I can show you all my videos and you'd be like, okay, bro, I agree with you. That's fucking Elon. He's not professional. He's just a pig.
The ones where they talk to each other.
Because he has two phones. He has one phone with the Elon profile, it's just.
I can hear. It's only. I agree. They're very similar voices, but there's like certain words, certain sounds that are very distinct.
Have you ever heard anyone even talk like Elon Musk? No, he's like German, South African, American. He's got a very strange dialect.
Yes, that's true.
No one can talk like him, and it's 1 for 1. And I mean, I don't have software to like give you a statistical percentage accuracy thing, but I can go room. I can, yeah.
like Dittman, I mean, it's funny enough, like it's almost a physiognomy. All right, if you take the position, these are two different people. It's almost like an uncanny physiognomy thing that like Dittman is interested in all the stuff that Musk is doing. He's interested in science.
Not just interested.
A lot of it.
Dude, you haven't been listening to him like I have. You don't.
When Elon talks, it's like it's still on a much higher level.
No, dude. I'm telling. Well, okay, maybe you're right because maybe he cleans it up and makes it more professional. But either way, Adrian.
So much effort.
Listen. Elon Musk knows my face because I sit there and I live stream all the rooms, and then I at him on X, and he goes, "This fucking guy, he's just sitting there fucking live streaming himself." Fucking motherfucker, and he blocked he blocked me. Adrian Dittman blocked me. Like he is 100, but he doesn't care anymore. He knows his game is up. He knows everybody knows it's gonna explode eventually one day. And my videos, hope to God, like will go viral, or New York Times will ask me to license my live streams and my shorts of Elon talking, because a lot of it is disgusting and stupid. And in my opinion, it could wipe out like $100 billion in market cap, because there's really no credibility, because everybody thinks he's like an android human alien genius guy. He's just a farting guy in a Tesla eating 2 butter steaks every night.
He is a genius.
Dude, he is a child. He has children. He's got like 15 children, and he live streams himself every night playing Diablo 5.
50. He has over 550.
And I think that he intentionally lives like a pauper because of all his divorce decrees. I guarantee you that all his salary, he probably makes like 100,000 a month or something. That's it in net, because everything else has to go to the ex-wives who he has divorce decrees with. Like the back stuff and he talks about his divorces. He talks about how women become fucking bitches and they just want your fucking money. Like he says shit that you're like, this is 100% Elon Musk talking. And then people even call him Elon, and he starts giggling. Like, Agent, I'm telling you, I've spent over 40 days now, every night of the week, recording Elon Musk talking. And
this is not healthy behavior, bro. This is not healthy.
People are tracking people are tracking me now, and they're saying this is the guy recording Elon. And I have people targeting me, pissed off that I'm outing him.
Alright, can we move on now?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I hope you enjoy it. But you gotta understand, I own AdrianDittman.com with 1 T and 1 N. So he actually apologized to me one day and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know there was an Adrian Dittman." But then he realizes that I know. But it's not like you got to know, like it's obvious. So, anyways, we can move on.
Jesus Christ. This is like the
No, I mean it's interesting. You put a lot of effort. So there it is. Now I found it. It's a Tumblr thing.
Yeah, on Tumblr you can now register a domain name. So I went to Tumblr and registered AdrianDittman.com.
It's funny you put your phone number.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm semi-retired. Like, I don't have any worries about my identity or legal problems, so it's like people want to text me or call me, like if they can send me exclusive content or they just want to be friends. Like, I put my number out there because I got nothing to hide. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a liar. I'm not a thief. I don't have any kind of legal problems. I mean, I do, but nothing, outside of, financial, like civil stuff, debt. So,
I guess that you at the top with the girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at a party I went to this summer for
with the hoe.
Yeah, friend's beverage company.
Nice looking girl there.
Oh yeah, the one girl Paige. So hot. The blonde, curly hair. Yeah. People are like, she looks like a man. I'm like, man, she does not look like a man. She looks like a very unique specimen. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it.
She's a beauty.
All she wanted to do was sell me HVAC services. I was like, sweetheart, I want you to...
Now the hoes are trying to get you to buy products. Oh my god. mixing business with pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time, Gio, you accurately described me once as being like a self-actualization repeater. And I just find that so many people have never like done self-actualization
Right,
therapy.
but if they were willing to, or had the inclination to, or had the ability to, they would all be like good people, upper class people, actualized people, competent people, but they don't want to. So,
Well, what I'm,
look, don't you think like I don't know? To me, you're like a classical liberal who really thinks that everybody can make it and everybody can be a millionaire or everybody can be a billionaire or everyone can be actualized or everyone can be spiritually aligned or everyone can be a guru, and I just disagree. And
Hey,
Geo
Adrian.
communist.
Yeah, I just looked at a couple of your videos, and just as a production suggestion, look, I think you can use, like, you can do Twitter Spaces on a desktop, right? And then I think you could record even using something like Black Hole or something like that if you have a Mac. I can't remember the ones on, but I think you should be able to get a better quality recording by doing it on a PC.
yeah, I can upgrade. I agree. I think it's worthwhile to actually like, because Clubhouse just is not it. People do not care about Clubhouse, but everyone around the world, because of the name brand keyword, Elon Musk, it goes viral. And so when you hear Adrian Dittman speaking, you're like, fuck, this is Elon Musk. So the video content is really, in my opinion, very valuable because you can monetize it and it's open source communication. I'm sticking with Elon. I mean, and he's pro-Trump. I mean, this is like the biggest scoop I've ever had. I mean, you don't see Laura Loomer talking about how Adrian Dittman is Elon Musk because like the moment that this story breaks, everybody will tune into Elon every night of the week, and that's how he wants it. He wants to be, the 7 o'clock news.
I mean, Adrian Bittman, people know him as the Elon clone. He's been on Alex Jones. He's been on. There was this space. Did you record this space where he was with? I just listened to it the other day. I think it was on YouTube.
No, I can't take it anymore, y'all.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, this is why I did. Yeah, we can change. This is why I didn't want to talk about it because I've gone down this rabbit hole with other people and I know it never ends. But go ahead, Gio.
All right, we can listen to a little Tocqueville and then we can talk about it. We can do that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Democracy was achieved by such a long, arduous, and heroic struggle that it can feel embarrassing, even shameful, to be pretty disappointed by it. Perhaps the best guide to such feelings, and on democracy in general, is a 19th century French aristocrat. It was de Tocqueville. For de Tocqueville, democracy was a highly exotic and new political option. He'd been born in 1805, when Napoleon was a populist dictator of half of Europe. But he presciently believed that democracy was going to be the future all over the world, and so he wanted to know what would that be like. To find out, he set out to America with a grant from the French government. He arrived in New York together with his friend Gustave de Beaumont in May of 1831, and then embarked on a 9-month journey around the new nation. After his journey, he compiled his thoughts into one of the greatest works of political philosophy, Democracy in America, published in 1835. In the book, de Tocqueville was particularly alive to the problematic and darker sides of democracy. 5 issues struck him in particular. In France, the society that de Tocqueville knew from childhood, making money didn't appear at the forefront of people's minds. The poor had almost no chance of acquiring wealth, and the tiny upper stratum of landed aristocrats didn't need to make any more money. As a result, for very different reasons, money was not a way to judge for life. However, the American that de Tocqueville met on his journey believed constantly that through hard work it was possible to make a fortune, and to do so was entirely admirable and right. Money political equality, and envy. He wrote, "The prerogatives of birth and fortune have been abolished, where every profession is open to everyone. An ambitious man may think it is easy to launch himself on a great career and feel that he has been called to no common destiny. But this is a delusion which experience quickly corrects. When inequality is the general rule in society, the greatest inequalities attract no attention. But when everything is more or less level, the slightest variation is noticed. That is the reason for the strange melancholy often haunting inhabitants of democracies in the midst of abundance, and of that disgust with life sometimes gripping them even in calm and easy circumstances. The old, rigid, hierarchical European system that had denied all hope of social movement to the poor was unjust in 1,000 all too obvious ways, which Tocqueville recognized, but it had offered those on the lower rungs one notable freedom. Freedom not to have to take the achievements of quite so many people in society as reference points, and then find themselves severely wanting in status and importance as a result. Typically, we think of democracy as being the opposite of tyranny, but de Tocqueville noticed that democracy could easily create its own specialized type of tyranny, that of the majority. Democratic culture, he thought, often ends up demonizing any assertion of difference, and especially cultural superiority, even though such attitudes might be connected with real merit. In a tyranny of the majority, a society has an aggressive, leveling instinct. It's regarded as a civic virtue to take on anyone who seems to be getting along and to cut them viciously down to size. De Tocqueville was disturbed by the way in which in the United States, people of no distinction refused to think that anyone could be better than them just because they had, say, trained to be a doctor for 7 years, or studied the law for 2 decades, or written some very good books. A healthy and admirable reluctance to defer to people too easily encouraged an unhelpful refusal to accept any kind of submission at all. And yet, as de Tocqueville saw it, it simply must be the case that some people in society are wiser, more intelligent, kinder, or more mature than others, and therefore should be listened to with special attention. Democracy was, de Tocqueville thought, fatally biased towards mediocrity. You suppose that democracy would encourage citizens to have an open mind. However, de Tocqueville came to the opposite conclusion, that one could find few places with less independence of mind and true freedom of discussion than in America. Trusting that their system was fair and just, Americans simply gave up on critical thinking and put their faith in newspapers and so-called common sense instead. Furthermore, as this was a commercial society, Americans were very conscious of not wanting to step too far out of line with their neighbors, who might also be customers. It was better to trot out cliches than to try to be original, and never more so than when there was something to sell. Although de Tocqueville
Profession, matzo ball, soup, profession.
So we have, I wrote down the points in the chat so we can remember the points he made. The first one was that everyone judged each other on money and nothing else because social classes were destroyed. Number two, the poor were depressed because they felt like there was something wrong with them because they couldn't make it in this free society where they thought that they could become rich. There was a tyranny of a moral majority where the majority would silence people when they bring up opinion. You had hating people who were better or smarter, and the lack of an open mind and wouldn't discuss religion and politics so that they could have more custom. Anybody want to talk about any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think God is always the contrast to whatever the government puts out. And so, freedom of speech is really the freedom to LARP or to use God as a communication, mnemonic. And so,
Yes.
like, the Enlightenment movement is just a maximalization of opportunity against stupidity. And this is
Yes.
why going into these atheist rooms is so enlightening, because you realize it's a mood or a temperament. And obviously, there's no scientific rationalization. So it's almost like a form of politic, just in the same way that abortion is used as a politic.
100%. The way I say it is that James Burnham put it in a way that I was interested in when I read his book like 8 years ago. And he says, in a society where violence is so abhorred and hidden from view, you will have a society where the scammers and frauders of a society will have maximum opportunity to wreak as much havoc on your people because nobody wants to execute them. And in older societies, they would execute frauders and religion to violence, he says, will always get to a position where those people that will have maximum power, those who are good with their mouth, those who lie all the time. And I would say the preachers, politicians, professors, and performers have unlimited ability to influence people in society. The people who are good with using their mouths, televangelists, um, Cornell West, Beyonce and Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, they have immense influence now. The freedom of speech helps criminals, psychopaths, fraudsters, scammers, the ones who want to escape law and order the most, actually. Oh, and globalists, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I thought the part where he's talking about like people are actually they're less expressive. They're more like they don't express nearly as much in the democracy compared to I assume compared to like the
Europe,
monarchy or authoritarian place.
Yeah, he was saying that there was less freedom of speech and debate about topics. Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting. And I think about it even in today's context, like my own experience. When I go to China, you can talk about like it just feels like yeah, of course, if it's something to do with like is Taiwan part of no one's gonna talk about that unless they're really sophisticated and they know still that it's like a private conversation that's not gonna get them in trouble. But otherwise, I just feel like I'm able to have a much freer, wide-ranging conversations with people in China about any kind of topic than I can in the U.S. People are just like totally, even though it's bimodal, it's like, yeah, you're either, because people are like divided into two tribes here, but like the Overton window is much smaller. The intellectual curiosity, I think, is among people tends to be narrower, and even within that, like the amount of expression you would say compared to China, but as long as in China you're not touching like it's not even that many things, like 5 different kind of red line kind of topics that okay, this is too sensitive, we won't talk about this, but like we can talk about everything else. So I don't know, that's what I thought about.
I was just at a Polish festival here in Chicago at this place called the Copernicus Center, and Copernicus revolutionized science by informing everyone that we are not the center of our galaxy or universe, that we rotate around the sun, and it took 150 years for that information to not be censored. So, but the thing about Copernicus is, and about European intelligentsia is, they're multilingual, and so they're not really so rigid and dogmatic, that they're very explorative and academic, and they're researchers, but the prevailing power censors information which questions their authority, which could be used subversively politically against the church. So I just feel like that understanding of the European multilingual mind and the genius, when you mix scientific research, academia, diet, exercise, narcotic, etc., like you create an extremely high IQ, which I don't think can necessarily be replicated outside of that environment. So China, Japan, a lot of these countries are they've already advanced past that type of, intelligence. Like they're more sophisticated in the sense that they don't need that environmental, change to produce the effect that they want.
Yeah.
Wait, say again. Which part is the environmental change?
Basically, like the Buddhists, who sit in their monasteries in Tibet and things, they've psychologically progressed past technology because they like basically. I mean, it's kind of a lie, but it's kind of not. Where it's like you kind of have to accept that lifestyle, but they use our technology for living their lives. I'm just trying to say that to me, the big takeaway is Copernicus, because he was educated in Italy, he was educated in Germany, he's educated in Denmark, Holland, France. Like these people in Europe are extraordinarily intelligent, the really sophisticated, wealthy ones, if they're actual academics, because there's so much contrast and diversification in Europe that can produce a highly educated or speciated human. I mean, Europe gives you very distinct advantages if you're multilingual and very wealthy and very intelligent. Like it's a breeding ground for genius. And just in the same way that America is, because that type of genius was transmitted obviously through Europe to America.
Yeah, the Europeans invented the Nobel Prize.
Noble.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good with things, but even our ideas in America are pretty much stifled, in my opinion. Like, there's no crazy ideas coming from America, because they just believe their constitution is good. So I think we're kind of lacking in the intellectual department when compared to Europe in the 16, 17, 1800s, right?
Well, I've been buying rare postcards also from like the early 1900s and looking at the architecture and what the building's purposes are. And the tallest building in Chicago in the early 1900s was the Freemason building downtown. It was the tallest building in the Midwest. And basically, it was a religious, theosophical, academic research facility. So interest in enlightenment and occult sciences was all the rage. They thought this was like this was past Christianity, meaning that they were thinking about the universe and astrology. And astrology is a big, medieval scientific, philosophical understanding. So I'm just saying that the fucking brain goes so far out in order to essentially optimize your material possessions, your material output, and how we change things in the material world. We're doing these like vast abstracts through philosophical research, and it's all meant to bring you here now to optimize and work on what you got to do now, which is like go fix shit, dude. Go, So that's the way I view this self-actualization philosophy.
I posted a link for you on the top, and it's a YouTube historian, and he draws a ideological timeline from pre-Socratics to modern day, and he tries to find out the source of where all their ideas came from, and it's pretty interesting. I want to see what your take on this after you watch it. So put it in one of your watch later lists.
You've been getting scam texts like these, it means your data was probably leaked online somewhere. Now, most of you can probably spot these as scams. This is the map we're going to talk about today, a map showing all the connections between the various philosophies, religions, and ideologies, showing the origins of National Socialism, Fascism, Marxism, Socialism, and other movements too. Let's get into it.
So now we're fucked. I don't know.
Hey, oh, Gio, damn it, I should have saved the clip.
Which
I was
one?
listening to a podcast like,
Can you
within
save
the last-
clips for me, bro? Like I do? Can you do that? Use your fucking record function on your phone that every phone has nowadays. Do that next time, please. Thank you.
it was a podcast I listened to in the last couple days, and literally start talking about like that we have bad elites and like we need better elites, and that the incentives or the like the fact that the elites don't care about the people anymore, that's like what's really fucked up. That's one of the big things that's like totally fucked up in our society now.
Yeah.
And causing things to, and I just thought about it, I was like, damn it, Gio's been right I mean, I already knew you were kind of right, but I love that you really highlighted this issue, and it was cool to hear someone else like thinking the same way.
Do you remember which video it was? If you don't worry about it.
Damn it.
Don't worry about it.
It might be, actually, this guy's interesting, because I think I've watched 2 videos with him now. I can look at my history on YouTube.
Oh, can I also play a clip of Danton and then discuss the Danton speech in the French Parliament, played by the actor Gerard Depardieu? The speech and analyzing his legal principles and political principles is really interesting. It's the Danton speech.
Wait, what film is it from?
It's a Gerard Depardieu.
Film?
Yeah, Gerard Depardieu. It's called Danton. It's a great movie. It's his best. It's his best movie. That and then the Christopher Columbus movie are his best films, and just beautiful films. Really great messaging, and the Columbus movie is really interesting because he has a foe amongst him who organizes the indigenous to fight and kill Columbus, and then Columbus fights back, and Columbus captures the Spanish, agent, and then instead of fighting to the death, this Spanish agent declares that he's an immortal and dives off of a cliff, and then Columbus is like, "What the fuck?" It's a crazy scene. Because I think your de Tocqueville and Danton and that whole French political, research project really inspired the world. I mean, America and France were psychologically, politically, and spiritually aligned against the political and abuses of the British system because they were really extremists.
Yeah, but the revolutionaries weren't much better in my opinion. They might be even worse.
Well, this is the thing: is it's you win by being worse. I mean, violently worse, and they really did it. They took it to the max. I've been to Boston. Do you know how you get people to go start shooting people in red coats? They would have parties at beer halls, get everybody liquored up. I bet you they were smoking weed, and they were fucking punching the barrels of the rifle, checking their ammunition, and saying, "Are we really gonna go do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, let's fucking do it." I guarantee you, like, you got to get psyched up when you go blow people's fucking heads off.
Yeah, the revolutionaries were definitely psyched up. No, he's saying that that's what should happen in Boston, or that's what happened in Boston historically. But yeah, that's what you do need a revolution to rally up the people and use them for your own political purpose.
I mean, there's a reason why Germany did it in the beer halls. There's a reason why America did it in the beer halls. It's you need an intoxicant mixed with neurolinguistic programming to get people to go kill other people. It's just how the brain works. People don't just sit around soberly saying, "I think that what they're doing is inappropriate. Maybe we should pick up arms." Like, you really got to make people into monsters with words and drugs.
Gio, I think it was from, I just put 3 links.
Okay.
I think maybe it's from the first one, but yeah, this guy, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, Lynch.
Lynch.
Yeah. That's What If Altis. That's the guy I've been telling you about.
Rudyard Lynch seems to have put a lot of. He's like young too, and he's put a lot of things together.
Yeah. But he's still a fucking liberal progressive.
Is he? I couldn't
Yeah, in
tell.
a lot of ways. Yeah, I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's spot on a lot of things, but he's also retarded in certain things too. Yeah, he and I have a lot in common. For sure. His channel's pretty good. What If Altis? But also when he's making predictions, you have to take it with a grain of salt because anything can happen. Making predictions, you have to take it with
Wild predictions.
Yeah.
God,
He's not like Scott Adams who has track record.
Right.
can't use Google. They deleted me on YouTube. I can't believe it. I wonder if I can even, let's see. Oh, it worked. That worked. Okay, do you guys want to hear the Danton speech? It's not that long. It's only like 3 minutes, I think. I'll find it on YouTube if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to take notes. I like what you did there because as I was listening to the de Tocqueville thing, I realized like I'm not even really listening. You know what I'm saying? So when you took notes, I was like, oh, good. Okay.
You know what I'm gonna do when you play this speech?
Not take notes.
And not listen. No, just kidding. How dare you not listen?
Okay, this is Gerard Depardieu as Danton, but there's other Danton clips which I think are maybe even better, but I'll play you the Gerard. Oh no, actually, this is Danton's death. This is called. Okay, fuck, there's so many good Danton clips. I'll play the one with Depardieu. Here we go.
You can't. It's against the law.
You know very well I founded the tribunal. I ought to know the rules.
All right. You have the floor. For the last time.
That's what you want. Yes, that's what they want. France!
You haven't the right to address the public.
For 6 years I've been your chief and your companion. My name is on every page of history. Is that right? Yes or no?
Yes! You are accused of corruption, of selling out.
Selling out? Selling out? Oh, but a man like me has no place.
I'll adjourn if there's much more of this.
Don't expect a cold defense from a revolutionary. I'll talk all day if need be. I'll shout, and I shall be heard.
The law forbids the accused to address the public directly. Go back to your seat.
They want to make you think this trial is finished when in fact it's just starting. The braver the man, the harder they try to destroy him. An infallible method.
Go ahead, Danton.
Yes, more!
Listen. When they want to ruin a man, they accuse him of everything. This method is as old as the world, but in modern times it's been refined. They want to make you forget the law under pretext of serving it. It also gives the illusion to those in power that they have absolutely nothing to fear. Throughout history, the just have always hampered politics, and more than ever today. Why must I be killed? I'm the only one who can give the answer. I must be killed because I'm sincere. I must be killed because I tell the truth. And I must be killed because I scare them. Those are the 3 reasons that lead to an assassination of an honest man.
Guards! That journalist over there! I'm a working journalist! It's forbidden to take notes and you know it!
I was the inventor of a new justice for the people. How can you imagine that you could pervert it without my knowing it? There's another maneuver. Another one. Mixing us with these well-known criminals so the public thinks that we're like them. Bravo. Congratulations. Congratulations. A great idea. Too bad, though, that I noticed it. What is this parody of justice? And our witnesses, where's our witnesses? We have a right to witnesses. Where are they? People of France, the tribunal is you. Let's make them bring in our accusers. And the committees.
No, not the committees. You haven't the right.
Let's have it all out in the open. And you will decide. Bunnies, run to the convention. Tell them we summoned the committees. Tell them they're trying to muzzle.
So these committees, and then the sophistication of the political government with these farcical courts, it's like theatrics. But the big thing to me is stop that journalist from working, and no notes are allowed. So no recordings are allowed. But also Danton's speech about bringing the witnesses, put it all out in the open, assemble the committees. Like, this is revolutionary France, where the mob is running the government, and then the government is subversively trying to control the mob through misinformation and controlling communication. So I just think that whole Danton scene with Gerard Depardieu it's all dubbed. Like, that's not actually Gerard Depardieu talking. That's like a voiceover. But what the message is saying is important, and understanding the French political and legal philosophies behind transparency and justice and law. That's why I think that clip is important.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, but Western societies had the like Rome and Greece tried these juries, and they're like the shows. I mean, the person with the better evidence, right? Like Athens and ancient Rome. So all of these people believe it. So they believe that the jury system is amazing, right? They just believe it. And this is just like you're saying, communication, propaganda, essentially. Yeah.
I have noticed that some in this assembly have remarkably sensitive hearing.
Okay, if you want, I can play another Danton speech, because I think they're important. I don't know, you should research Danton. Like, I bought books on Danton. It's really, these are great speeches. This one's 4 minutes long if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is called Danton's Death, Saint Just Speech.
They quail at the mention of the word blood. I feel that a few general observations are called for to convince them that we are no more cruel in the way we go about things than nature herself, or indeed time.
Maybe that's not the one I want to play, but I also think it's funny how Englishmen always portray all these great historical people. So English actors always put out all these great historical, significant ideologies or concepts. Okay, so this is called The Death of Danton, the French Revolution, 15,000 views. Agent, if you can mute your mic, I'm going to play this. It's 7 minutes long. Just mute me if you want, whenever you want to end it.
Wait, 7 minutes is too long.
Well, let's listen to 2 minutes of it. Okay, here we go. Okay, that won't work. It's subtitles.
No, it's in French.
Okay, forget it. I think we get the point that Danton is and Robespierre. Yeah, okay, this one's, well, anyways, fuck it. I'm done playing shit.
So Danton said to
Vous irez au Champ de Mars?
as he was getting lifted to kill. But not Roland, a figure in the French Revolution, was supposed to have said how many crimes are committed in thy name, and she was led to the guillotine.
What was the question?
Nothing.
Sorry, what the guillotine? What did you say? I couldn't hear you. Somebody text messaged me.
No problem. The late is gone.
Leading.
It's gone into the ether forever and ever. Amen. No. Anton, as he was being led to the guillotine,
Mhm.
he shouted at Robespierre, "You will follow soon. Your house will be beaten down and salt sown in the place where it stood."
Did it come true?
Yeah. He got killed by guillotine too. The leader of the guillotine, the king of the guillotine, also got killed. Robespierre.
His name was Georges Jacques Danton. So these are some of his quotes: audacity, more audacity, always audacity. Show my head to the people. It is worth seeing. We must dare and dare again and go on daring. In order to conquer, what we need is to dare, still to dare, always to dare. The tocsin you hear today is not an alarm but an alert. It sounds the charge against our enemies. At last I perceive that in revolutions the supreme power rests with the most abandoned. In revolutions authority remains with the greatest scoundrels. Let me be led to death. I shall go to sleep in glory. Danton was guillotined with his friends on April 5th, 1794. The indulgents or Dantonists called for peace to be made with the European powers and for thousands of counter-revolutionary suspects to be amnestized or amnestied. Danton believed that terror should be used only when absolutely necessary and left his position in the Committee of Public Safety in 1793. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, do you think that psychological paradigm could be repeated where, the murderers get murdered in succession here in America, where Obama, Bush, Kamala, Waltz, like they do create World War III? Because that's the only way that there could ever be like an actual secession militaristic movement of like where there is like a nuclear war where America becomes fragmented or something and there is like a secessionist movement in part of the country or something because half the country is now gone. Like that type of apocalyptic environment is totally within the realms of possibility because all you have to do is look at history and just see the images of World War II or Hiroshima and Nagasaki and you're like, huh, okay, that's real. So if that's really real, that can easily repeat itself and really easily. It's got to be a fact because like there were such mega events. Mega events probably are more likely to repeat themselves than non-mega events. I mean, obviously non-mega events always repeat themselves, but anyways, I'm just saying that at 41, I'm 41. If I make it to 80, it's possible that we see actual thermonuclear war because it's like the energy industry. It's not going away.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but everybody has so many nukes at this point. It's like maybe. I don't know.
Even accidental discharge, that I think is probably the real, situation where they're like, well, we didn't know that it was charged and we didn't know. We're so sorry. That's gonna happen. I mean, there's so many of them, and they're just sitting out there. It's like, oops.
It was a drill. It was just a drill. It was just a drill. We were just practicing. Oh man.
I mean, you never hear anybody talk about that. Like I brought things like that up. It doesn't matter, but it's so far out there. But this is what a lot of people were very concerned with in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And this is what they really talked about was, nuclear disarmament because of the fear of accidental discharge or militaristic discharge. I mean, that nasty giant mosquito is never going to die. And that alone is very weird, but it's not really weird. It's just science, meaning that 100 kiloton, megaton, or whatever, you can break it out in terms of like weight for dynamite. So, anyways, I'm just saying that war is inevitable, war is persistent, and everything implies war. Everything. Your whole life is basically reduced to a war analogy. And I just think that that is like an absolute maxim or aphorism. And if you study enough history, you're like, fuck, all of this evolution is based on war.
Or she's, but we're not even engaging in real wars, so it's gonna be like all fifth generation shit.
See, you think we're not. Are you in Ukraine? Are you in Russia? Like that's where it's happening.
No, but that's where a lot more of our wars are going to happen, though. It's happening online. It's happening with politics. It's happening with propaganda.
But in Ukraine,
have you ever read Ender's Game? Have you ever read?
No. I mean, there's videos of this guy who works at CIA and he's worked at NSA and DARPA and all these places, and he talks about the future of war as being like neurolinguistic programming implants, or even biologic or actual nanoparticle implants. So basically, like mind control. And when you listen to Elon Musk, God, yesterday he was like, "I wonder if I could play Diablo 5 through Neuralink. Wouldn't that be cool if I could get an implant just so I could play a video game?"
Oh my god.
I was like, this fucking guy.
So fucked. We're so fucked. We're fucked, dude.
But that's obvious. I mean, because we're gonna die, and
So, yeah, I mean, this is very like cyberpunk. If you look at the real cyberpunk stories and so forth, visions, this is really what, doing something as silly as like, oh, I'm gonna put a chip in my brain to play a video game. It's absurd, but it's like just pushing the boundaries. It's like, in some ways, I mean, in a lot of ways, devaluing the kind of sanctity of like natural human life and just doing something totally absurd and punk. There's a reason it's called punk. And I mean, but we need to have those people. We need people pushing those boundaries, and at the same time, other people living the traditional way.
Yeah, but everybody. The problem is that people like Elon can affect a lot more things than just like his small little kingdom or his small little town. And a lot of the people around the world have the same goal as him. So if it was like one person, maybe that's slowly pushing the bounds, and he was the only one doing it, fine. When you have like 100,000 or 500,000 people like Elon, or CEOs and like those companies who own huge companies, then this is advancing at a very rapid pace.
So,
like you've noticed that technology is exponential, right? Since like, don't forget in the 90s, agents, we had VCRs, right? That's what we had in 1990. All these things have happened in the last 20 years, right? Isn't that like really fast?
yeah, it is. Look, I think, I mean, this is one of the points we disagree on because I'm like a technophilic person. I want to solve a lot of problems using technology, and you're much more resistant. You want traditional means for a lot of things, and You don't think they were using birth control?
No, they were probably using certain birth control. I don't know if they were using birth control pills, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I figured they were doing everything.
Egyptians,
But
Chinese, everybody had birth control products. Like all products today have always been there in the past. Guarantee it. All these
No,
pharmaco.
the Chinese communist government condemned the birth control pills and banned imports of contraceptives.
No, I'm saying there's natural contraceptives. There's natural
No, I
contraceptives.
don't disagree with that, but I'm talking specifically about the birth control pill and the hormonal effect it has on women, right? That's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, that shit's
Yeah.
really toxic. I went out on a date with a 6'2" blonde, and she canceled on me and ghosted me. And then like a year later, I matched with her again and we schedule a date. And she goes, by the way, I've had a medical emergency and I'm partially disabled now. I was like, okay, no problem. I'll still meet you. So I meet her and she hobbled across the street and she had a massive stroke. And I was like, what do you think caused it? And she was like, I have no idea. I'm like, bitch, it was the birth control.
It could have been anything. You don't know. Stop fucking inferring so much, bro. It could be a family thing. It could be diabetes. I don't know. It could have been something. Oh yeah, Agent. Before I forget, another good movie you should watch. Changing Lanes with Ben Affleck and Samuel Jackson. And it's about these two guys that get into a fender bender, and they start trying to fuck each other over, essentially, right? And it becomes this revenge thriller. You should check it out. It's really good.
it's quite an escalation.
Yeah, it escalates. It goes from like them trying to be good people, and then they put things into motion that they can't take back, and it just escalates more and more and more and more. It's really good. It's called Changing Lanes, with Ben Affleck and Samuel Jackson, and they greedy people is the other movie. That's another movie.
So
Greedy people.
have you there's a news article I'm looking at. It says large scale polio vaccine campaign underway in Gaza. And then I saw on X yesterday that wherever they deploy polio vaccines, especially these oral drips, there's an outbreak of polio. So and then people started questioning whether these polio drips have like a certain chemical in there to sterilize people. So I'm just wondering, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, despite the fact you say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I mean, yes, obviously, two planes can't bring down three skyscrapers. That's not a conspiracy. But the point is, I mean, what the fuck? Like, all these biopharmaceutical, like, this is a war zone. And I don't know. To me, like, that is like the final rape when you start putting sterilization drips in everybody's mouth.
Here we go. I hope you guys
Let's
are
go.
ready for the wild ride we're about to go on, y'all. Look, if technology changed this much in the last 20 years, right? It's just getting exponentially better. The next 30 years of our lives are going to be extremely interesting. And it might not be in a bad way, or it might be in a really bad way. I don't know.
Oh, actually, Gio, I just remembered. I didn't put it in the chat, but I was watching. I started watching. Malcolm and Simone Collins.
Yeah, I
The
watched.
pro-natalist drifters. I mean, but I think
Yeah.
they're cool.
Yeah.
They have a podcast, and I watched so many episodes I can't remember because they said a lot of things. They are really right on a lot of things. I gotta give them credit. They go deep and they talk about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of things that I'm interested in, they talk about a lot, like IQ things.
Yeah.
They make some very interesting points, right?
They talk about how to save Koreans, the Korean race.
Yeah.
By,
What did they say? What was their answer to that?
Actually,
There is no answer. Yeah.
there is no answer, but their best one that they said was like, the Koreans just need to like move to the U.S. and live in like an enclave in the U.S. because they're fertility goes up by like half a point when they move to the U.S.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, but another thing about that just to say it, they said they've had incentives for like people to like, oh, we need to give like more financial incentives,
20 years,
blah blah blah, for and that none of that shit. Korea clearly shows none of that shit works. Although they do talk about other stuff about how I can't remember the details, but it's basically like if you structural. One thing they said was kind of an interesting idea. It's like you can't get your if they made some crazy mandate like you can't get your degree as a woman unless you have had a kid. Because it's like you can go to school, whatever, but like we won't actually give you your degree until you have a kid, and then like all these women would only have kids.
Until you have at least 5 kids, let's go.
Or just even one, but yeah.
Well, even 3. Like I'll take 3 right now. I'll settle with.
But also, I mean, once people have one kid, they're much more likely to have more, I think. But
yeah, it's like dogs, where some people buy one dachshund and then they have to buy another dachshund, so they have a pair of dachshunds.
Yeah.
But they have a new video out. I want to go watch it. It says communism's age of consent problem. Why so many communists are pedophiles? Let's go.
Oh my god.
Let's go. Oh, I'm gonna go watch that. I have to go watch it now.
They made another point. They may have been the ones talking about elites, their incentives, not so. Those links I sent may have been totally off because it might have been something that Collins had said.
Yeah, they both have talked about it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then how like we're at a stage now. I think they were talking about the incentives aren't aligned because they were like, yeah, for elite going into the future, like elites are just going to want to get away from everyone else.
Correct. That's what I said. That's what
and they're willing to spend enormous resources just getting away from the mob than to.
So I told you that there are 2 types of billionaires, right? The first billionaire is gonna make his own like buy a nuclear silo, right? And make it each for him and his families, and they'll live by themselves or with a few helpers and workers, right? Maybe 50 or 60 people. A smarter billionaire will find thousands of people who are skilled from the same religion, right? He'll make his own society that way from guilt. That's a smarter billionaire. He's creating a society. The other people are creating maybe 70 people who may die out in the next few generations. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I want to go watch this. I'm gonna go check this one out.
Yo, I also put that link you sent. I put it on X and I titled it #politics, philosophy, psychology. So I'm gonna watch that as well. That looks like a cool chart depicting progression of, thought and whatnot.
For sure, man. Check it out. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
You're voting Trump, right?
Yeah.
So
there might be two Supreme Court judges in the mix in the next 4 years, so we need to secure those 2.
Dude, you're not gonna secure them with your vote.
Yeah, probably not.
well, there's a
voting for who knows, maybe.
Yeah, I'm in Boston, so my vote doesn't really matter. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm registered in Washington State. My vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
well, that's not what.
If conservatives were smart, they would all start moving to the what do you call it? The battleground states. But then the liberals will outnumber us if they try. Like if we started and the liberals recognize that what we're doing, the next election they're gonna send like millions of people to come and live there. So.
Well, my point is, if you register at Trump Force 47, you'll get access to the Republican database in your, electoral commission. So they will give you the opportunity to call and correspond with actual certified Republicans in your area, which is an invaluable networking tool, especially now. And because you really don't necessarily know who a Trump supporter is, but if they will give you access to their database and you can organize events, it's worthwhile to do it because at the personal level, you'll actually get to meet people in your community and develop more relationships, which is very valuable, especially with older people in their 50s and 60s who have another 20 years to vote. So that those connections personally you should consider those important to you because clown house networking is cool, but look how many people are in this room. Go to another bang room where people are just using profanity every other word and you'll realize that they are all voting for Kamala, or or like 80-90% of them don't even vote.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go check this out. Good talk, y'all.
Yeah.
See y'all later.
Great, Gio. Take care. Okay, Hermes, what did you think about the podcast?
Oh, cool. I didn't know that was a podcast. Was Gio born here in the States, or was he born in Korea?
I think he was born here, or maybe born there and then came here as a child, a baby. I don't know. Oh.
Have you ever noticed? And I know you're voting for Trump, but that's not what I'm trying to point out. But have you ever noticed that Asians like Gio,
They don't really.
like
They always say,
they
we're
try to
tired
be.
of these.
I'm just
These
gonna say they try to
we're
be
tired
white.
of.
What do you think about?
And the only way they can do it is they always side with the Republican side, regardless of what's going on.
Well, he said he was a Democrat prior. All right, so I'm gonna join Steve Appel's stage. I'm gonna leave the mic open.
I'll take
Oh, cool.
Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam. I have to give them credit because they have educated a lot of black boys and girls. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people just from my anecdotal experience, and when I've gone to communities.
Did they teach him STEM or something?
Say it again. Adrian, let me finish real quick. Don't be rude. But what I'm saying is.
I said STEM, science, technology, education, math.
Yes,
Sorry, I
yes.
wasn't
But
trying
if
to
I
be
can
rude.
finish, I'll
Sounds to me
answer
like
that.
you were being a little rude. Sorry, bro.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm saying is Jay, they've educated kids. They've paid for kids to go to school. They got them out of bad homes. They've tried to help pay for their books, their commissary when they're in jail. So they've done things for the community that I can't deny. They did the walk. They didn't just talk. They walked the walk. So,
Did they teach him STEM?
Yes, I just said that. If you listen, Adrian.
You said that? I didn't hear you say STEM. Sorry.
Yes, I did. So anyway, long story, they've been funded people's education. Just to clarify,
Can I ask you a polarizing question?
Yes.
And I'm asking respectfully. And I'm actually I like what you're saying. I agree with some of the things you're saying. Some things I don't. But you consider Kamala Harris as a black American.
Well, she has Indian and black heritage. She's not just one thing, but I don't think she works for the black community. I don't support Democrats or Republicans. So if you're trying to, I don't know what your question is trying to lead to, but I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris at all. Kamala Harris, I'm sorry. Remember, she used to be a prosecutor back in California.
Would you prefer that we had a Sharia type of legal political system?
No, well, I don't believe in Sharia law, and I'm not a Muslim. But I believe everybody should have their religious freedom. I don't impede on people's religion. I mean, who am I to make this, an Islamic ruling?
What's your opinion on Jesse Jackson? Is he a sellout as well?
100%. 100%. I don't know, Jay, if you've been to some of these black conscious spaces. I'm guessing you've been to a clubhouse. And you can, I invite you to come to these black conscious spaces. You probably see them in the rooms. as welcoming.
What
because
makes
they
it
don't have- they
what
wouldn't have
makes
to-
it black?
Give me a second, Adrian. Give me
Yeah,
a second.
they tell me to stay in my fucking lane, so I stay out.
I was going to answer that if you let me finish. So, Jay,
This is so stupid. I hope people are like laughing in the background at all this. That like how serious this guy takes himself.
me, I'm more of a patient. I can speak to anybody, anywhere. I don't have a problem. Whether we agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Adrian is a Trump supporter. I can talk to Camilla supporter, Trump supporter, whatever you support. I don't care. I can talk to you. Now, some people, they don't have the patience nor the appetite to speak to certain people. Why? Because maybe, let's say, for example, Steve, let's say he's straightforward. Some people in there, whether they want to call him a nice guy, an asshole, whatever their opinion about him is, maybe his personality. I think Steve mentioned earlier, my personality sometimes, it could be my personality, whatever it may be. Steve said himself, if you heard him, I don't know if you heard Jay, but he said that, yeah, when I would equally go on equal footing with certain people, part of it usually doesn't work out in the long run. Now, I don't know if it's with black spaces, but,
Well,
just.
and this is the first time I'm sharing space with you, right?
Right, sure.
As far as I know, I mean, I've been on set, and I honestly have been probably one of the bigger supporters of black person.
Right.
But I have to say this, and I'm going to be honest, since I'm not looking to smoke with you. But you give me the vibe that you don't want outside community help. You don't. So when I open up rooms to talk about the '94 crime bill and how I think it just deteriorated the black community, you don't want a white man speaking on that because it doesn't impact my community, but it actually did. The crime bill did impact other communities besides the black community, but it did devastate that community. So I just find it, and I say this respectfully, please don't, I know it may come off wrong, I find you to be a bit disingenuous. And that's just my opinion, because instead of, you could stand on your square and be pro-black, but you should also be able to be open-minded enough to accept help from outside your community, because we got to do it together. If not, it's never going to change, bro.
Okay. So, as far as
Okay.
I think a lot of people understand before me even reaching out to somebody, whether they're coming in good faith or not, for help, olive branch, whatever you want to call it. I think people.
Wait, why do people come to you for help? I don't understand. What kind of help are you providing people? I'm not trying to interrupt. I am a speaker on the stage. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to center yourself? Do you have some great wisdom to share with everybody this happy Labor Day? Are you sharing happy news? What are you even talking about? I don't even know what the fuck you're even talking about anymore. In-house? The fuck?
First. Why? Because this is a problem of us, right? This is our issue. This is something we're affected by. So I think a lot of pro-black people, they want to start in-house. Now, if there's somebody who's genuinely trying to help, I don't think maybe there might be people who don't want to work with you because they don't trust you. Because it could be from trauma, it could be from over 100 years.
It could be from propaganda.
No, it's not from propaganda. It's
Misinformation? Disinformation?
No, information.
Not disinformation?
No.
Not opinion, just truth, huh?
Slavery is the woke agenda. You probably don't believe that black people should be. I can kind of.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Not your Jay.
No, I get it. I agree.
I figured it out.
I'll give him that. Let me ask you this. This was something just recently happened. In California, Steve's lane. How do you feel about reparations? Reparations over?
Well, he's a capitalist, so go ahead, Steve.
Jay wasn't asking me, he was asking you.
Well, the reason I was asking the Pan African is because
yeah,
California.
Huh?
See, I was asking you, so how do you
My
feel about reparations?
signature.
California,
My signature ain't worth shit, dude.
Just to come back and say, hey, you know what?
Ain't worth the shit,
We're not
bro.
giving
I wrote it.
reparations.
Just,
How do you feel about reparations?
I don't think I can.
Strongly support it because
help you in
slavery,
any way.
Jim Crow, social racism, and all these forms of oppression.
I can help
some
you.
type of compensation.
And I agree with you, sir. I agree with you, but let me ask you this follow-up question. I'm going to hand it back to Steve. What does reparations look like to you? Is it money? Is it land? Is it college? What is it? Give me an exact package of reparations for the black community.
I can't.
And by the way, Jay, I think you're doing a fucking fantastic job, but to briefly comment on what Pan said, I'm not aware of anybody
my
alive
signature
today
was shit,
that
bro.
has suffered
I don't think
slavery.
I can help you in
Nobody
any way. I
alive
can help
today
you
has
create
suffered
YouTube
slavery.
videos, Instagram videos. Other than that, I can't participate in
Yeah, but
anything.
their children, because they weren't being compensated. They
What does compensation look like to you, Pan African? That would satisfy the black community. Give me compensation. Give me that.
Compensation could be, I think, finance, land. I think restructuring how the financial system and how different systems within, whether it's the housing market, whether it's the banking sector, whether it's just, also black men been affected in so many different things. Is where you start. I think it's looking at different aspects of how black people are affected, because they're still affected. Maybe they're not slaves today. They're still
I really value
financing
my peace.
through gentrification. We see in the inner cities how black people getting pushed out. We see it through job placement, how black people get discriminated. We see it how black people.
I really value my peace.
How the government treats black families. So there's so many things I can start on, but I think it's not just one thing. I think
My signature was shit, bro. I don't think I can help you in any way. I can help you create YouTube videos, Instagram videos. Other than that, I can't participate in anything. I guess Samantha's out.
To write down, formulate it.
A cosigner? A cosigner? The fuck? What can you need?
Question.
You need to market
I just want to know if I can pin it on.
and turn a profit.
Jay, you're a mod. Do whatever you
Fucking,
want.
you don't need somebody's signature.
You're doing fucking great. Pan, I think an appropriate
I
question.
can't sign shit,
Are
dude.
you black?
Shit for you, dude. I can't sign shit. Cosign.
Okay.
You need to market and
you
turn a
just said
profit. I
moment
can't
ago
sign shit
that
for you,
black
dude.
people are entitled to trillions of dollars in reparations. How much should you, and I mean how much should you get in reparations, and who should pay you?
Cosign. You need to market and turn a profit. I can't
Okay,
sign shit for you,
so
dude.
black people should get trillions of dollars in reparations. If you're black, you don't think you should get reparations, right?
I'll tell you why. Because
Oh, Ishmael the gorilla has arrived. Our silverback of the day. He's gonna fill his air sacs up and go. Let's hear your air sac monkey call.
and we didn't go through the slavery that quote unquote
Let's mute this Schwartz. See, these guys don't even they use the N-word. Hello, my fellow N-word, aka Schwartz. How are you, Ishmael the gorilla?
Hello, I'm in the store. My corner store the quality has just continued to decrease. And it's been in a steady decline over a period of years. And it used to actually be a reliable corner store. And now, I don't know what the hell they have here, but they have the weirdest shit. And they don't have the basic things that I need. They do not have the basic things that I just simply need. The basic things. And they have bullshit. Stupid things.
Well, I have found that, I have to supplement and go far and wide to find all the whole vast variety of products that are imported to all these stores. And if you have a car, you have access to more shopping opportunities. And people that don't have cars, they live like paupers. They don't buy anything because they don't want to transport anything because they don't have a fucking car.
That's true. Yes, it's true. And I have a car, and I go to the normal grocery store and get what I need. But this place is purported to be a corner store. And I'm looking It's very gay.
So I have a Jewish friend. My sister has a Jewish friend. His name is Dave Wishnick. Definitely on the spectrum, definitely suffering with mental health problems. And now he's texting me asking for my signature to help resuscitate his business. And I wrote him a co-signer. You need to market and turn a profit. I can't sign shit for you, dude. And then he wrote, honestly, my plan is that if it failed, I would still work my job and be able to pay it off because I live at home and have no overhead. I wrote, do you know how to make a profit? I don't know what to tell you, my dude. Live long, prosper. All communication is hypnosis. He wrote, balanced by the possibility of being successful in the pre-seed, I think the established company complements Ken. Ken works in the ingredient space and is one person. Established make the intros. Yes, we have done 150,000 year to date and have a USDA funded project for 175,000. So fucking stupid. Listen, my dude.
What does he sell?
Some kind of nutraceutical product.
Do you hear that music? No,
Yeah, I hear it.
the Spanish music. Do you know BF? You know BF Peterson?
Yeah.
He's got this idea that anytime you see somebody, because you know, there's some types of people in our society who are just very loud, and their cultural affects are involved a lot of volume. And you know, he says that whenever you hear them being, that you should increase your volume to match them. Anyway, the guy drove away, so I don't have to be loud anymore. But thinking about that idea.
What, Pernell? We're talking about how the corner store ain't got no more good shit, dog.
Well, I mean, you're right about that in two different aspects. You're right that some of the stuff that they got there is not what we were used to when we was like kids. And the second aspect is that we're not kids anymore, so we don't even like that shit no more. I see my daughter open that motherfucker and shell that motherfucker out. Like she just snatching candies, other thing. I had to tell her to put some back. Kind of remind me of me when I was a kid. And I'm just looking at all that shit and I'm like, that's poison. So I made her put some of it back. You know, but I think part of us being grown is that we look at candy and chocolates and cookies and all that stuff. We look at it in a different light because we know how bad it is for us. Whereas when we was kids, we like yum, you know.
So, you know, the thing about the empty corner store is now you can create a room and talk about it. So the inventory is always an illusion, anyways. The real commercialization and content, you know, is talking about this, which is talking about nothing. I mean, it's the Jerry Seinfeld formula for success: turning something into, you know, from nothing, or turning nothing into something. So, welcome to the corner store, as well as Morning Glory Sun Magic in the Adrian Dittman houses. We're here with Elon Musk, the world famous Tesla founder, co founder of PayPal, co founder of a couple other companies. Mr. Musk, thank you for being here and giving us just a few moments of your time. And thank you so much for freeing us from the communication censorship industrial complex. It's a great pleasure to be here with you right now. This was Elon Musk 9 hours ago.
Do they even have any bones? Does the snake have? Yes, it does. It's a reptile, dude, and it tastes like chicken, man. It's great, actually. Oh, it's great to eat. Of course it has bones. Snake has bones. Yes, it has bones. What am I thinking of that doesn't have bones? That's like the same as a snake. Worms about as close as it gets. Both worms, fucker. They all have bones, man. They're like land eels. They're like land eels. The taste bud is good too.
Are you sure?
You're better like a Chinese restaurant that serves snake. It's interesting. I kind of want to try one now. See what the snakes taste like. Do they even have any bones? Does a snake have? Yes, it does. It's a reptile, dude, and it tastes like chicken, man. It's great, actually. Oh, it's great to eat. Of course it has bones. Snake has bones. Yes, it has bones. What am I thinking of that doesn't have bones? That's like the same as a snake. Worms about as close as it gets. Both worms, fucker. They all have bones, man. They're like land eels. They're like land eels. The taste bud is good too. You're really like a Chinese restaurant that serves snake. It's interesting. I kind of want to try one now. See what the snakes taste like. Do they?
So, I mean, that's what Elon Musk is talking about. He talks about all kinds of stupid shit on X. And it's called Adrian Dittman. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of whether or not that was actually Elon Musk talking about eating snakes. But yeah, that's Elon Musk talking about eating snakes. Unless you know some guy named like Steve, Kerfuffle who lives in Iowa that has this fake Elon Musk account called Adrian Dittman. Yeah, that's not Adrian Dittman. So we are living amongst morons everywhere, anywhere, everywhere. You might be a moron. I might be a moron. How can we be certain? Well, just go around Clown House and listen to your average gangbang room, and you'll know that people are really hurting, suffering, living in despair. And then you go into the streets and you see people that actually have medical maladies, like, just horrific medical maladies. I don't know if you've ever been on a bus and seen like a burn victim where you're like, oh my gosh. Or if you've seen somebody with diabetes and their legs are pussing on the train and you're like, oh my gosh. Like people are really living and dying at the same time in a horrific manner. I mean, that's when I am just like, I'm like, dear God, like, please, like, fix all this or something. I mean, but how do you fix it? You die. And that's the name of the game, is that we are all under an expiration time clock, whether you like it or not. I don't think there will be, there could be a World War III, of epic proportions. There could be thermonuclear detonations within 40 years or 5 years or 4 years or 40 days. Nobody knows, I suppose. But at the corner store, we do know that they don't have the great variety of products that they used to have because everything comes from China. Have you been to a dollar store? There's not one item in a dollar store that's actually manufactured in the United States. Not one fucking item. Can Trump maybe mandate the corner store carry at least a couple items that are made in the United States? What do you think, Pernell, Ishmael?
I didn't hear the question.
I think that was to begin with, was to bring manufacturing back to the United States. I think that the tariffs were the beginning. It was the beginning of putting pressure on companies that China and places to bring manufacturing back to the United States. But I think I accomplished if the Republicans don't do what they did. And I blame a lot of this to the Republicans, bro. Because in 2016 and 2018, they had the perfect opportunity to fix a lot of shit. And instead, they backstabbed the people.
What is this?
On a lot of those
VFN.
accomplished.
This
Go ahead.
F is a VN.
So I have combined the corner store with Morning Glory Sun Magic. So Purnell, I have 2 clown house rooms going, and I'm literally just stacking the phones. So Ishmael, this is Purnell. Purnell, this is Ishmael. And there's a couple other people listening, and we're live
Are
streaming.
you saying that I am physically touching Purnell?
Yeah,
Am I on top of
you're the
him?
bottom, Purnell's the top.
Are we, or are we front to back?
Nut to butt, butt to nut.
We're butt fucking basically.
Yeah, butt to nut to butt, bro.
Okay.
Who? I mean, you should go to Israel and join the IDF. That's my opinion.
And my flight got canceled.
Yeah, you
I
might
guess
as
I should.
you might as well. You might as well. I'm gonna go over there and get myself a wife pretty soon. Like, I'm thinking about it.
When do you want to go? Let's meet up.
Oh,
Meet up.
I don't know if it's actually safe to go there. Did you see the protest? The whole country supposedly is coming together, and they're not happy. But I don't believe it. I think it's so funny when you listen to somebody say, "Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to split the Supreme Court, and we have to try him for being a criminal." And then you're like, "Why do you want to try him for being a criminal?" Because he tried to circumvent the justice of democracy by circumnavigating the court. And you're like, "You want to try him as a criminal for that?" Yes, absolutely. Wow, okay. These people are like senior citizens in wheelchairs screaming at the television on this app. And they think that their thought projection actually is in any way relevant. Punish him!
Imagine the UK wants to arrest Elon Musk. And I think I have a strong feeling that if Kamala Harris becomes president, she will extradite him.
Yeah, I could see that. I really do thoroughly believe that she will be the most radical and insane president we've ever had, and I am almost 100% sure that she will win. I think she'll be installed, and everybody will literally have schizophrenic meltdowns.
It's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be a nightmare.
I've been dealing with black women in the professional setting my entire career, and it has been nothing more than a giant display of ego and self-centeredness, narcissism, incompetence.
They're NBs. They're NBs. They're N's and they're B's. They're NBs.
You know, I don't
You
use
ever think about the word NB? You know NB, like non-binary? But you know what NB also stands for.
Well, the thing is, you know, when you see Maxine Waters like wave bye-bye Prince to what was his name? Sam Altman? Not Sam Altman. What was the fucking guy's name who's in prison? God, he's so crazy. Do you know who I'm talking about? The Bitcoin billionaire? Sam, right?
Yeah. His first name was Sam. I can't remember his last name.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that crazy? You're like one of the richest people on the planet, and the next, and you're like getting kisses blown to you by Maxine Waters. Then the next thing you know, you're in prison and you're a bitch.
And his name is Bankman.
Yes, Sam Bankman-Fried. Oh, what a wild destiny this guy has. Just imagine like how schmarmy he is, and like how stinky he is, and like him squirming now. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe this is happening. Can't believe. Think about that guy's reality.
That's like if your name was Wank Man.
That guy must be like on the most psychedelic voyage of human existence ever in the history of American history. There has to be a movie. God damn, that's how we could probably make a lot of money. Is make a movie about that guy because his story is so crazy. The rags to riches, riches to rags, the extreme ends of his story. Like that's a fucking $1 million hit right there. Even a parody.
Conspiracy theory right now. I think that he's not really in a jail. I think they're taking care of him. He put a lot of money in their pockets, man. A lot of money in their campaigns. He helped them fund doing a lot of jacked up shit. I mean, we literally have the Green New Deal because of that guy. I think he's in a nice area, where he could do all the things that he likes doing. Same thing with Epstein's madame. I don't think she's in a real jail. Or a real prison. I mean, when you look at the amount of corruption that is going on in our alphabet agencies, in the DOJ, at the FBI, I don't think anything is running on the up and up. I think there's a lot of corruption all within the prison system. The Democrats have been able to keep a lot of stuff quiet. Things that me and you, we sense is going on. But they've been able to keep it quiet. But anything the Republicans do, that shit is wide open. Everything is leaked. Everything is leaked. You know what I'm saying? And everything is strategic for them. They're in charge right now. And I think you're right when you said that they're going to just install Kamala Harris. Because I was trying to explain to somebody the other day how the polls is just bullshit. Like we here on the ground and we're seeing who's who. We're seeing who's who, and we're seeing that a lot of people don't like what's going on, especially with the migrants and the illegal immigrants and shit. They don't like that shit at all. A lot of people who was cool with the Democrats have turned against the Democrats based just off of that. Secondly, Kamala Harris is not popular. She never was. Never was. So my thing is, I think the same type of activism that goes on in the media, because they go into the colleges, they get indoctrinated, and then they come out and they say they're journalists, but they're not really journalists. They're activists. They're political activists, social activists, right? You can tell by the way that they do the news, right? And then you look at the people in the alphabet agencies. A lot of the older people that was there before, they have retired, and all these new folks that are in there, they're doing the activism too. They're literally doing political activism. You can tell by the way that they go after the abortion clinic, not the abortion clinics, but the people who protest abortion clinics. That's activism. That's not political. That is social activism, right? They put a barrier around the clinics to where you can't, if you do anything that could be considered protest, that's circumventing your constitutional right to protest, because that's a public area. But they literally put a zone that you can't enter in and do anything that's considered protest, whereas everybody else could do whatever they want in there. You know what I'm saying? And then you have how the EPA and the environmental agencies is going after like farms, and they're going after dairy farmers, and the way they're doing their stuff, it's all activism. Is like zero economics behind it, right? They don't care if it costs the country. They don't care if people get poor. They're literally just putting their shit. They just putting it in place. That's it. And whatever happens after that. They don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And Kamala Harris, like a lot of people, they think that Kamala Harris and the border shit, her being the border czar, was incompetence. No, that's actually competence. She accomplished what she always wanted to accomplish. If you go back to her Senate days and you listen to her, she will tell you that what's going on at the border right now is what she wanted. Literally, that's what she wanted. They did this shit on purpose. Mayorkas and them, it wasn't because they was like stupid or they wasn't educated enough to know what to do or how to do it. No, this was the plan from the jump. This is not a mess up. And they're looking back at it and like, damn man, we fucked this shit up real bad. No, they're looking back at it like success. A lot of people, they just don't see the long game in it. They see the long game. Because these people are like a lot of people say, they're a cult. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking at it like, yeah, people are gonna die, just not us. You know, and that falls in perfectly with the environmental plans, because a lot of the environmental plan is depopulation.
Ishmael.
Go ahead.
Oh, Ishmael left.
Did he? Well, yeah, that's why I'm looking. Let me join the house. I don't know if I can. How do you do this again? Okay, join the house. There we go. So I ain't got no blue ticket all the time. But yeah, a lot of people, they're thinking that, oh, the Democrats are messing up. I try to tell a lot of people that the last real election was in 2016. The last real election was in 2016. I'm looking at Kamala Harris will go on some show, right? And she'll jack up real bad because she sucked at public speaking, right? And they will drop her down in the polls a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, Donald Trump he's like +2 in the polls," and I'm like, really? +2? +2? That's what you trying to tell me? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, ain't no way. But I realize what they're doing is they're gonna just wait till Kamala Harris do something, you know, that they could latch onto. And as soon as she do something, or they're able to have like a George Floyd moment or something along those lines, they're gonna go, oh, she's +5 now. She's +7. You know what I'm saying? And then they're gonna wait towards like getting close to the election, and they're gonna be like, oh, she's leading in polls, and then they're gonna just say that she won. Any states that's up for grabs, Kamala Harris is gonna win it. They're just gonna pretend like she won it. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that try to say anything about it, they're gonna arrest them. Any politician, any prominent person, you know what I'm saying? If you're not prominent, YouTube and the only place that you probably could say something like that is on Twitter, and that's not gonna last long. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's not gonna last long. They're gonna destroy Elon Musk, and they're gonna send him to freaking England, and he's gonna go to a UK jail. That's what's gonna happen. But I hope to God that I'm wrong. I hope to God that Donald Trump win for everybody's sake. Because if Donald Trump doesn't win, then that just seals my theory that the last free election was in 2016. and there'll be no more free elections. It's going to be pretend elections like in China and all the other communist countries. Because Kamala Harris, she literally was talking about comrades and all this stuff like that. They're letting you know. They're letting you know. And I already said that the first people they're going to get rid of is the activists. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all of that is going to be over. Because if you come out there protesting after they solidify their control, they're just going to arrest your ass. Who won't stop them then? Ain't no Republicans no more. Being a Republican is going to be considered an extremist, a MAGA extremist, a far-right extremist. They're already doing it. There's people right now in college that are learning that Republicans and conservatives are far-right extremists. And they're coming out and they're going to the FBI and they're going to the NSA and they're going to the DEA and they're going to these places to work there with the thought that people who consider themselves Republicans or MAGA or America First or any of that, they're neo-Nazis and they're MAGA extremists and they're far-right extremists. And it's crazy that a lot of Americans, they don't realize that this is what these people are doing.
Hey, Adrian, where did Ishmael go?
I think he said he left. Another thing they realized was they didn't have the numbers. They got the numbers now, and they're letting the numbers in. And they're going to arm these people. I'm telling you right now, you see what's going on in Denver. They're not doing nothing about it. They're not doing nothing about it, bruh. The people that have taken over 2 apartment complexes, from what I heard. They got people in the building with rifles. People patrolling the outside of the building like it's their shit. In the United States, in one of our biggest cities, Denver, this is happening right now, and no FBI is showing up, no National Guard is showing up, no police, no SWAT team. But if you look over in England, they got SWAT teams and investigators showing up for people who write mean stuff on the internet. And this was our number one allies, the British. This is where they at right now. They're already there. The only thing that we're still armed. So that's definitely a monkey wrench in their plan. But who knows, man? The United States is a really big place. It's a really big place, and if communication goes down, which they could definitely make happen, they could go from city to city, real easy. And if they make gas, which is our number one means of transportation, really, really high, to where you can't afford to do any kind of road trips or move around your mobility, they could easily isolate you and then come get you one by one. Some of the cowards will give up everything without a fight. Some will.
sorry, I had to take care of business. Okay, so this is the corner store. Ramonio still here. Purnell. I recently had to block somebody.
Where is Ishmael?
Sorry, now I gotta reset this thing. Ramonio. No, Ishmael's not here. He left. Yeah, I had to block 2 people today on my cell phone who are my sister's friends, and I texted my sister. I said, I really value my peace brain, and then she hearted that because they're like total schizophrenic, neurotic morons, and he's asking me for my signature on a fucking kind of a loan or some kind of bullshit business startup, and I'm just like, bro. I said, live long and prosper. Block. I've been approached by, people who want you to invest in their businesses before, and it's so funny because it's like you are 100% going to just steal my money and spend it, and B, I could open up my brokerage account and buy a whole basket of real businesses. Why in the fuck would I ever let you steal my money? Suck a dick. In the corner store.
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you're putting your money into a business or investing. Especially as an angel investor, because a lot of times they're just going to take your money and just say, oh, we're in development, this and that, and never really have a solid plan,
It's not even about a solid plan. It's, bro, I'll go buy Coca-Cola before I ever give you a fucking penny. I mean, it's about what is my cash position, and why in the fuck do you think that me giving you my fucking money is any better than giving it to some fucking 10 stocks? I mean, it's the dumbest thing in the world. If you're not turning a profit, anyways, I had to block them because it's like, talking to people with mental health problems impacts my mental health. And I just don't want to be in that communication with people. And they just spam you with dribble, it's like, bye-bye, blocking you now. Have a good life, live long and prosper. I don't even want to be rude. I just want to block. And that is essentially ghosting, It's like it's what a lot of hot women do to me who do not want to be in relationships with me because they don't like my attitude, because I don't like their attitude. And then they ghost you. And then you say, c'est la vie. It only cost me 1 dinner to find out you're a puta. That's it. Guys are always complaining, oh, I never pay for a girl on the first date. Really? You don't want to pay to find out if she's a puta? Man, you are never, ever going to figure it out. Like, not every bitch is a puta. Some bitches are nice people. But putas that want your money and just wanted to sniffing around to see if you got fucking millions or something, they're just interested to see if they can possibly fuck over a guy. Welcome to the world of fishing. It's called catfishing, bitch. I understand your game, but I still want to sniff that putang. Ooh.
No, you're right. I mean, I see paying for dinner, going on the date as a test.
It's the price of no. It's not a test, dude. It's a ticket. It's an admission to the pussy show. And they just dangle it in front of you, and you ain't gonna get to see it. But that was the price of admission. Have you ever seen a concert? Listen, taking a hot piece of ass out to dinner is a concert, okay? And a lot of fucking cheap ass fucks are not willing to pay to see concerts, and that's because they don't have any money. What do you do with your money if you have money? You go to concerts. What do you think taking a hot piece of ass out to a nice restaurant is? It's a fucking theatrical event.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, why the fuck? Like, if you don't have money to pay for the date or go on the concert, so to speak, because I agree. It's like...
You're a beta. If you can't pay for a puta, you're a beta. You're a beta boy.
Yeah.
You are. I mean...
I agree.
Yeah.
Because real men don't complain about that shit. Like, they just take...
No, they enjoy it. What do you think you're paying for? I don't understand why people don't understand that you're paying for a spectacle. And, and then you get to reveal just how ignorant and how ill-managed many of these women are. They're chronically angry. They complain about everything. But this is where you get to shine because you're so happy. And when they order that fourth drink, you're still smiling because you're like, you pig. And now that you've four in the tank, there's probably a greater chance that that fat ass is going to be spread wide open tonight. So, anyways, what I'm trying to say is at the Kona stove, you're going to see that morning glory come. It's called sun magic. So, the whole point here is to try to like defragment Clownhouse and this stupid app full of toxic, repeating morons, and humiliate them and embarrass them. And so we're going to continue on our mission of trolling. This has been the Corner Store and Morning Glory Sun Magic. Pernell, Romano, or Ramonio, go ahead and give us your final 3 minutes closing statements, and then I'm going to close the rooms. So go ahead, gentlemen. Who wants to go first?
So I just want to say it's been a wonderful start to the morning. More to come soon. Tune in now here at the Adrian Dittman Elon Musk podcast show. Thank you for joining. We'll see you soon.
Wow. It's like if I hired somebody off of Craigslist, they couldn't even have done a better job than that. So thank you, sir. Pernell, final closing statements?
Hey, I just appreciate everybody, who's going to listen and to let me talk. I did go on there for like a long time, but I hope somebody got some kind of wisdom or insight from it. But y'all have a nice morning.
Okay, this has been the Kona Stout, Morning Glory Hole. Morning Glory Hole. Okay, I'm going to leave Morning Glory Sun Magic up, and I'm going to try to jump back into Steve Appel's room. Here we go.
Pretty good. Get my workout over with. But yes, Chicago is not a bad place. It's getting better. I'm not saying it's not a bad place, but it's not a horrific place.
Wait, hold on, time out. You're 70 years old and you're still working out?
I'm only 47, but I'm trying to make it to 70.
And you think Chicago is getting better? The hotels downtown are inundated with illegal Venezuelan aliens.
Okay, Adrian Dickman, whatever you say.
I
If I was a Republican in Chicago, I would have a problem with Chicago also.
I would like to ask Kima, since RFK through his support behind Trump, are all the former RFK voters going to vote for Donald Trump?
I don't think so. I think it might split. I definitely don't think all of them are guys. The ones I talked to, I don't believe they're gonna go for Trump at all. So.
Hakima, do you?
RFK a piece of shit.
Hakima, do you not see that Kamala and Waltz are neocons? Why don't you see them as being the neocons that they are, sir?
Yeah, I see Trump as a fascist, so I'll pick Kamala over a fascist.
I know, but the neocons are fascist. Are you out of your mind? Kamala and Waltz will escalate wars beyond compare.
So would Trump. That's what America.
That is not.
I don't like it.
That you got to understand, Kamala and Waltz are actual people that do shit. Trump ain't gonna do shit. Waltz and Kamala are gonna open it up. They're gonna open the spigot up to escalating wars, escalating censorship, and escalating the biopharmaceutical war against this population, which is very sick now.
We are not in any wars.
Really? You haven't heard of the word war? War all the time? You haven't followed history, have you? You don't read history, I bet. Did you know that human history is nothing but war? Oh, okay. Ukraine and Russia, that whole thing's just fake news. Yeah, 1 million people didn't die over there. 2 million people didn't die in Afghanistan or Iraq. There's no fucking wars. 9/11 didn't happen. It's all just a scam. You're so stupid. Vote Trump and go to the gym, fatty.
We are supporting a partner against an illegal invasion. shut down Afghanistan. America shut it down. There is no war in Afghanistan.
I think that we were thoroughly embarrassed by Afghanistan, specifically the way we left. We first announced the exact date that we were going to leave. I can't remember any war previously where that's been done. And then we left all of our shit there. I think the United States on a worldwide basis was thoroughly embarrassed by how we left Afghanistan, but it's just my humble opinion.
Peel the Band-Aid off. There's going to be some pain. It was the best move. It was the smartest move, and the electorate's happy we've moved on.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad we pulled out, but I think the way we pulled out was embarrassing.
When a country can't defend itself against a foreign invader and they won't fight for themselves, it's going to be embarrassing. Sorry, fact. When you leave on a certain date, you peel the Band-Aid off, there's going to be some blood. Very, very sad, but very true. And I will remind everybody in the room, we are not fighting in a war anywhere in the world currently.
We do not officially have boots on the ground anywhere in the world.
That's a great thing for our country. That's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean,
And Trump is a fascist.
In Ukraine, we have a long tradition of helping allies in time of need, us. So, I personally fully support that policy. I think it's, the fact that you're still going to have Ukraine after this is over is a pretty remarkable policy achievement. And on Afghanistan, the previous speaker was right. It was going to be a cluster. I think we should have just stayed there. But in fairness to policy, both parties kept America safe after 9/11 by those Afghan operations. And the current Taliban is swearing off any sort of regional or global terrorism until they we can come back. So, I mean, it's not as big of a policy disaster as they keep an eye on population in there.
so welcome to Happy Labor Day in the Atheism House. It's a pleasure to share stage with Jay, who had to take care of something. Alfonso Cora, this is a popcorn-style room. It's also not on replays, so anybody can speak, as far as I'm concerned, about anything. Just keep it respectful and hopefully one person at a time.
Hey, Adrian, since Biden here so much neocons, like Roger said, there's no boots on the ground right now from American troops. Like, why
Did
isn't
you just call me Roger?
No, I said Raj.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hakima.
No, it's good. Where are all the wars at? They said neocons, Adrian.
It's called Ukraine, Russia. It's called Gaza, Israel. It's called Somalia. It's called Yemen. It's called Syria. I mean, I know you're just an Uber driver, but I got to tell you, wars are happening throughout this planet that the U.S. is funding to the tunes of trillions. And I don't know where you've been since 9/11, but this country is now $35 trillion in debt, going to $40 trillion because of international regime change. It's called neocons. It's called Rumsfeld. It's called Bush. Bush is still around. So, Hakima, you can vote Kamala because she's the deep state operative of George W. Bush. Does it make sense to you now?
It's amazing that Biden put his boot on the neck of the feckless 45.
First, trillions is just factually incorrect. I mean, the total Ukrainian aid is around $60 billion. If you look at the whole period of Afghanistan,
Since the start of the Ukrainian war, the United States has committed over 200, if not $250 billion to
Democrats.
well, that word still doesn't start with a T. So I think presidential drawdowns are 60 billion.
Okay.
Let me finish. You have to break into the whole amount because we give some economic aid, we give some like foreign military sales. I think you are right. I think I was thinking of the presidential drawdown number. But that number still doesn't start with a T, so that's factually incorrect. So the other point is you're looking at Afghanistan since the beginning. You are talking trillions, but in fairness to Trump or Biden, that is one we're not there for, and neither one of them planned anything close to the keyword during their term. So we should be accurate and not just throw any mission Israeli aid. That is nowhere close to the keyword. So we should just be accurate with when we throw around words like
We know you love the numbers, and without the statistics, you can't actually have a conversation, Brent.
Hey, Adrian, I would rather be an Uber driver that does it because I want to and not have to than be a schizophrenic.
Hakima, listen, you do you, but calling me a schizophrenic ad hominem, we'll find out who the fascist is, Mr. Greenbean. We're going to find out who the fascist is, because fascists kick, and I'm sure I'm going to get kicked. Go ahead, let it out. Call me a schizophrenic if you want for calling you an Uber driver. Sorry.
We do try and keep the personal attacks to a minimum, but it is a popcorn room.
I mean, this is in the atheism house. This is supposed to be Happy Labor Day. I'm giving you good news that thank God that TrumpForce47.com is helping Republicans get out the vote. I mean, I'm organizing Republicans in Chicago to vote for Trump, Vance, Kennedy. I believe in the unity party. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in forever wars. And I don't believe in these fugazi vaccines. To me, they're poison.
Since you brought it up, Adrian, can you tell us exactly what you're doing to support Trump besides...
I'm taking Marshall Rankin's advice and knocking door to door to door to Republican doors. I'm not going to Democrat doors. And I am inviting people into my house for an intimate dinner and fundraiser for Donald Trump. I'm trying to get 100 people by, September 15th.
How do you know which houses and doors you knock on?
TrumpForce47.com, everybody. Go there now, sign up, and you will get access to the Republican database in your election commission.
And they have the addresses there?
Yep.
Wow. Tell you something, Adrian, you must have a pretty fucking big house if you're going to have dinner for 100.
Well, lucky I own a farm, so I'm going to have it on the field where we grow all of our vegetables.
There you go. I didn't know you owned a farm.
Listen, I don't think that Trump is going to win. I think Kamala and Waltz will be installed, and November 6th, the real schizophrenics are going to have a meltdown because they're not going to be able to accept this reality. I think this is the society of the spectacle, that fake images, fake news, fake information is pushed down our throat through a simulation or the simulacra or the mainstream media that is the medium, and that the message is irrelevant because we don't control the messaging. And when I say we the people.
Here's some factual information for you. When Trump won 8 years ago, he won all 8 swing states. It's my opinion now that I gave you the fact. Trump has to win a minimum of 6 or 7 swing states to have a chance at winning the election. If he's got to get at least 6 or 7 swing states to win.
Really, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, we'll give him some more.
He's going to get Ohio. He's going to get Arizona. He's going to get Pennsylvania.
Don't forget about Nevada. And by the way, if you will notice, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party just came out recently and are talking about not taxing tips. And I couldn't figure that out. And then someone made the point to me
But there's two types of tips. There's the Uber tip, which is automatically taxed, which is what they want to deregulate and detax. But then there's the cash tip, which is never taxed. Because how do you enforce compliance on a cash tip? You can't.
Well, it depends whether or not your tips are pooled and then dispersed out equally, or if you keep your own tips.
That's like a restaurant type, setup. I'm saying that the big tip platforms, which are like basically Uber, Lyft, Fiverr, etc., whatever these, platforms where you can do these tips, like they will have to comply through accounting and law, etc., with the new IRS regulation.
If you think about, this is an easy one. If you think about Nevada, who's getting the biggest tips in Nevada?
It's going to be the dealers.
Right, and
The
they
dealers.
don't get tipped in cash. They get tips in casino credits, chips, whatever, and they have to cash them in, so there's paper trail there. Problem solved, Adrian.
So just a side note, I know Harris came on board, but it's a horrible policy. So you're going to be favoring tips. There's no real economic reason to favor tips over other type of income. And what you're going to do is you're going to vastly expand the tipping economy. And so, now everybody asks for a tip, essentially, that's going to be incentivized to the 10th degree in that tax plan. And I don't know, not a world I want to live in. I'd just rather people make a base salary.
Well, this is like what people do on eBay. They list the item at a low price, but they charge hundreds of dollars for shipping to circumvent eBay's fee policy structure, which is what people will do with salaries or, contracts, is they will set the price low and then just tip high to circumnavigate the tax code.
Except for eBay, that doesn't work because they do charge you the same percentage on the shipping as they do on the item.
Yeah, and Gigi, I want to hear from you. Hang on just a second. I think that if this goes through, which by the way, I don't think there's a chance in hell it will, it might put some employers out of business because some employers do not pay their workers minimum wage. They include the tip, or they pool the tips, as we spoke about earlier, and then as long as the tip includes more than minimum wage, the employers can arguably pay them slave wages, for lack of better words. And Gigi, you mentioned Uber, but what about eBay? Please forgive me, eBay.
We have lost connection with the Steve Harvey
I
show.
know what you're talking about.
Anybody?
Airbnb or
B&B, your B&B or Airbnb. Thank you. Airbnb, a lot of times what they will do is they will charge the actual daily rate less, but then you get hooked up with a cleaning fee, which is huge. And the cleaning fee, Airbnb does not take a percentage of that cleaning fee. But Gigi, go ahead. I like what you were saying.
all I was saying, I just was making the correction about eBay because I sell on eBay, so I know that it doesn't matter. Actually, it's horrible because now you get charged a percentage of what you're paying for shipping. So that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
tipping, I disagree. It'll put them out of business. It'll encourage that business model because essentially what you're doing is you're providing a bigger section of your income to employees. That's not true. And so it's going to be more attractive to work for slave labor and have a bigger portion of your income based on tips, which will expand the tipping culture. I'm kind of annoyed with, like I'm fine with tipping restaurants, obviously you tip. Where is culturally the norm to tip in the society? I absolutely do. But I don't like going to see a tip thing.
I'll give you the most egregious example of tipping when it comes to gentlemen's clubs and
typically essentially independent contractors. They pay to be on stage and they make their income with the tax, which that income would be tax free. So you would encourage more people into that profession because that is business.
Well, and yeah, it's a good point. A lot of them are classified as independent contractors, but the what's being proposed by both Trump and Harris does not distinguish between independent contractors and employees. All they're talking about is tips not being taxable.
Well, Steve, Brent, hold on 1 second. Brent, hold on. I live next to the world famous Admiral Theater, which is one of the greatest strip clubs in America. It's in Chicago.
Okay.
And on the face of it is a quote by Larry Flint from Hustler. It says, "The greatest right that a government can afford its citizens is the right to be left alone."
Okay. Classic
Yeah, but that's not the question here. The question is.
It is the question here. This is talking about strip clubs and cash tips.
I didn't interrupt you. The question is a good policy to essentially, by tax policy, favor one type of income, a tip, over another type of income, a salary? I'd rather see a flat rate on everything and treat it all the same, because I think that makes more economic sense. I don't see why you would do otherwise.
Because we want to be left alone by our government.
Again.
Yeah, I don't have any problem interrupting you. This is popcorn style, Brent. Sorry.
So, well, I mean,
popcorn.
So I don't. What is the argument, I guess, for favoring tips over salary?
To try to.
That's not the question. That's not the question. The question is whether or not tips should be taxable income.
Yeah, but that is the question because that's what you would do. Make a tip.
You hear the crickets? Is somebody playing a cricket sound, or was that an actual cricket?
You economically favor a tip, so you subsidize tipping through your tax policy so you get more of it. So why do that? Is what I'm asking.
Well, are you saying, okay, why do what? I'm not getting it.
How about you just not ask a question and just make a statement? Go ahead, try it.
Why?
Go ahead, try to just make a statement. Give us your point. Make a statement. Don't give us a question. Go ahead, try it.
My point. So why would you non-tax tips? So in the
go ahead, try it. Try it.
In both employers and employees to favor tipped income and expand that. Why would you do that economically and subsidize more tipping?
We favor other types of income that have lower marginal tax rates, and they usually belong to the investor class, those types of income, right? So tips, on the other hand, are quite the opposite. They're definitely associated with the working class. You can't get a tip unless you provide a service. So you're literally working.
Well, yeah. It's called work. All right, so they kicked me out eventually. So they proved that they were fascists after all. Congratulations, the fascist class.
You know, it amazes me how they literally think that they're intellectuals, and some of them can be. Yeah, it's funny too.
Oh my gosh, hello. Make awareness great again. Oh, I love it when I hear Daniel say hello. That's so funny. It sounds like it's perfect every time. It's like the computer thing.
No, but I learned it from Adrian. I learned it from him. He used to do it.
Yeah, can you do it, please?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? You really are. Those are like dancing. Hello?
You know, if you go on YouTube, there's a way to like draw people out of their house. You know, if like you're trying to arrest them or something, you just play a recording of a baby, and that will naturally draw somebody out. They'll be too inquisitive. They cannot withstand the sound of a baby crying outside their front door. They will always come out to investigate, and that's one quick way to snatch and grab someone.
Oh wow.
That's amazing advice from, I don't know, break into homes. I guess. So what was the deal in that room? Who is Honey?
I don't
Why
know
is
from
she
the
so
name
angry?
because she hates Israelis and Jews and Zionists, whatever the case may be.
And why does she even know me?
She doesn't. She also doesn't know me, but I guess maybe she does. I don't know.
Yeah. It feels good, right? When people are like, oh yeah, I know you and I know that this about you. I'm like, hey, wait a second, who are you? Like, you don't even know who they are, but they know everything about you. That's kind of flattering sometimes, to be honest.
You know, I've been spreading a lie about you and Daniel, Issa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I go in the neo. I call it the neo-Nazi or the neo-socialist rooms with Francisco and T. Robs and Diego, and basically, I think they're white Nazis, or I think they're neo-Nazis. And so, I've been telling them that you and Daniel started a communications consulting business, and you're using Clown House to create content on behalf of Israel. And they're like, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
I love it.
Please continue, please.
Yeah, keep doing it.
So I told them that, because you work in advertising and marketing and Daniel lives in Germany, that you guys started a communications consultancy, and what you're doing on Clown House with long form format of talking to like low IQ people about their opinions and their feelings essentially. I told Daniel that we were going to reward him with an all expense paid trip to Paradise Island in Nassau, Bahamas. And, like honestly, I think you guys could pitch this as either like it's basically content, but like if you were to like professionally do
I
it,
love this conspiracy theory. I love it.
well, I say go with it and make it real, and then like it'll make the show even more bananas because now the fact is you really do need the mix to make the cornucopia work. Like and especially the internationalism. This is what's great about this app is when you hear somebody from Africa who's very conservative, it's like holy shit, like the world is not what you think it is based on what we're told it is. Like none of these paradigms are really persistent or universal. Like you have conservative people from every walk of life. And so I just feel like the milieu is real. You guys create a great milieu together. Like you guys are basically the new Pepe and Mon. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, it's funny because someone else was studying on the other day as well, right? Then it's like, oh, it's Isa and Daniel now. Daniel and Isa. Remember who was it? Was it Jeff?
Jealous.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't Jeff.
But why don't you guys publish your show? Like create a YouTube together. Let me be your consultancy for this union and give me 10% of the show.
We get you 10% of everything that we make. All the shekels that Isaa's making, we'll give you 10%.
Excellent.
You know what? You get $10 if you can get my $100 from Solar.
Wait. Why are you talking in shekels, Danielle? That's not quite fair.
Oh, because according to some people, I am getting paid by all the Jews in Clubhouse to defend Israel. So
No, you're running.
Get a lot of shekels. Every Jew in Clubhouse makes a transfer every Friday to my Swiss account. And yeah.
No, Isa, we need to create some fake documents about how you contracted with the IDF and Mossad. Like, we need to really make this bananas funny because it will draw in.
Dude, I don't want to go to jail. Are you crazy? I'm not gonna.
This is an entertainment show. You don't understand. This is freedom of speech. This is entertainment. We're trying to create false narratives to lure in hateful people because this is like catching a predator. Honest to God, you guys are like doing catching a predator, but it basically, Islamic jihadist version.
What you could do is you could make deep fake videos
Continue singing in the chat, Abdul.
So yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool if you made like deep fake. You could not deep fake videos, but deep fake like you know how like I had a.
Is Andrew? Are you Andrew?
Yeah, it's awkward.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a high school friend.
I thought they were Jew now.
Because they went to boarding school. I had a high school friend who went to the IDF, and I remember seeing on his Facebook once he had these like videos, and you could just deep fake yourself into videos like that, and then you could kind of say this was me when I was in the IDF, but it's just your face like superimposed into somebody else's.
Yeah,
I
just
have a question. Why would you even want to bother with all this stuff?
just take your Popeye photo and put it on an IDF soldier. Like that's good enough. That would be enough to upset people.
I can take.
No. What were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I wanted to say I don't need to use deepfake. I can actually take pictures of me when I was a soldier. I don't use deepfake.
Hey, could you send me one? I don't know that.
Daniel, you have been so persistent with your Blue Man PTR. You know, never change, Daniel.
Daniel, you should know I love a guy.
Yeah, you don't have to change that. Just as I'm not going to change the pirate.
I tried it, but I got
It's our brand, honey.
on the head when I changed my.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. Otherwise, Daniel, send me a photo of you. I love a guy in uniform.
The first one, it's not digital. It was.
No.
Oh, are you going to post a photo of you?
No.
Send it to you privately.
Ah, you're sending it to me.
No, I'm not sending anyone pictures.
Oh.
Can I just welcome Hampton to the room? And I would love for Hampton to give us a lecture about why it's better to be a woman.
Let me list the perks. Hold on, I'm thinking. If they catch you for speeding, they usually let you go. If you flutter your pretty little eyes at them. Let's see another perk. Hold on.
Depends on the cop.
Right? Exactly.
Did he say cock or cop?
Normal guys usually open doors for you. They pull your chair out for you. Let's see other perks. Hang out.
We're talking about 2024, not 1980.
I see. So are you telling me, Daniel, the gallantry is dead?
Have you seen like anyone doing that lately?
Yes. Actually, yes. Where I live, yes.
How old was he?
I think college student.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Well, either you got it or you don't, Daniel. You know this.
Yeah.
Other perks.
You get 70 cents on the dollar.
When I walk into Sephora, I'm surrounded. I think that's it, unless Isa has anything to add.
I don't know. About
Actually,
what?
women have
Or helping to...
like more creativity in clothing, like what you wear.
I'm not sure. I mean, like gay men also.
Yeah, you can prove that by going into Zara. Like 80% of the store is for women, 20% for men.
Yeah.
You know, men have like blue jeans, black pants, brown pants. Not like girls have like all kinds of like shapes and designs and like it's more exciting, I think.
That's because sometimes women are more objectified on the basis of their clothing and.
Yeah, and that should also change. Men should also be objectified.
Like being objectified, though.
Men should be objectified. Rega, Daniel, what's your idea of the fun of being objectified as a guy? Go.
I don't think it's such a bad thing to be like objectified.
Right, I love it when it happens to me.
Daniel, I'm asking you, what does it look like to you?
Hold on.
An example.
I'm sorry. What would be cool about it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's something flattering about it.
So, Isa will tell you that, flattery. But when you calculate the amount of losers that girls have to put up with, so sometimes, I don't know if the benefits outweigh the flattery. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so objectifying
fine. It's good if the man is hot. Otherwise, it's how do you call it, harassment.
I literally was like, I asked my friend because we were at a theme party.
I kind of grew up speaking with a slightly southern accent.
And I just thought there was like a guy that said something, and they like looked at him like, eh. But then I asked her, like, do girls like dress like that and like enjoy the attention, but then act like you don't? And she literally looked at me and was like, yeah. And I was like, of course you do. And then when they don't get that attention, they'd be like, I'm invisible. Oh my God, guys don't see me anymore. I'm sorry. Y'all spend all that money on those clothes. Y'all want attention. I'm sorry.
You know what? I disagree with you. I actually disagree with you. I think that girls dress the way they dress for their friends. Yeah. When girls go out together, they want to out to each other with outfits and makeup and hairstyles. I think that's the first. Yeah.
Like ass and cleavage.
Okay, so I just want to interrupt and make an announcement that I created a hypnosis by saying, let's bring Hampton up to tell us about why it's better to be a woman. So what I'm really trying to say is that your opinions are totally ass backwards, that women are victims of commercialization, that women are presented with so many options and so much commercialization that they run after fake narratives. And so, Hampton, you should be happy that you have a schmeckle in between that uterus.
All right. Back to business. Moving on. What is the topic of the day?
I am trying to look for a nice phrase, but taking some time.
Yeah, I'm not loving that title. I know either.
You're talking about Hamas, Palestinians need to choose better leadership, which is
No. You're talking about men avoid attributing cleverness unless it's their enemy. Yeah, I don't love that.
Well, can we talk about something that's in the news, like the polio vaccine that's being distributed in the Gaza right now, the oral drips?
I find nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's a great topic to bring up if you like science and health and wellness.
Let's talk about polio.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's not a controversial topic unless you think it's controversial.
No. It is, the Gazans or the pro-Palestinians, the pro-Hamas people were like, oh my God, we need a ceasefire because there's polio. And then they got the ceasefire for polio. And they're like, we can't believe that the army that wants to genocide us now wants to give us medicine. Their family wants to infect us. Like, you can't win with them.
Yeah, but they're taking the vaccine anyway. I've seen a lot of photos.
Of course they take. They already gave 100,000. But I'm saying the pro-Hamas people are not pro-Palestinian people. Okay, the pro-Hamas people are anti-Palestinian. They think that they are pro-Palestinian, but they're not. They're pro-Hamas, and Hamas is pro-Palestinian. So they're just about bitching and complaining for everything and about anything. It doesn't matter what we do or don't do, they will not like it. And now there's like this woman, Isam. She's a quote-unquote journalist in Gaza. She is also one of the, what they said is one of the nominees for a Nobel Peace Prize. And she now posted like a video that it's very weird because the vaccine was invented by Jews, and she thinks that polio was actually introduced to Gaza by the Israelis, and why would the army that wants to genocide them now want to give them vaccines? And she thinks that it's all like a big scam. And she's like a fucking journalist for like Nobel Peace Prize nominee bullshit something. And she basically wants to create like this idea in the heads of like Gazans that they shouldn't take the vaccine and basically be paralyzed.
What's interesting about that? She should also research who invented the vaccine for polio, and his name was Dr.
No, I said it.
I'm saying his name is Dr. Jonas Salk. He was a Jewish doctor. He invented the polio vaccine. He didn't patent it. He just did it for mankind.
vaccine, we also, the Israelis, gave the polio disease to Gaza, and now it doesn't make sense to her. And this is amazing because they live in this delusional world that you will hear many times that the pro-Hamas people say it doesn't make sense, okay? Because reality always kind of clashes. So now it doesn't make sense to her. Why would a genocidal army that wants to kill everyone would want to give vaccines? And other pro-Hamas accounts are basically saying, look how I don't know what the word, like vile or whatever, the Israelis are, that before they kill them vaccines and all kinds of like stories that we want to bring them all to one place so we can bomb all the kids together and all kinds of like stories that they actually they don't stay in their head. They actually write it on Twitter, and many people like and like, yeah, but it's nuts. It's not. Those people are nuts. So there's nothing I can say other than that. Like,
Yeah, but you got these echo chambers, and then you have people putting out false narratives, and people just letting this stuff go into their brain day in, day out, and they spew it back out. And, I'm surprised at the DNC there weren't actual terrorist attacks, which is honestly, I'm really surprised. I'm surprised we don't have terrorist attacks in this country from radical leftist internationalists who are, just mentally deranged people who can't take responsibility for violence and political propaganda. I mean, Zuckerberg, in my opinion, with the vaccine, at least in this country, because I used to watch him and Fauci do their live streams, to me, in hindsight, like they propagated a lot of misinformation and then they label anti-vaxxers medical misinformation. So censorship is the problem. And our ability to be left alone by the censors is a very important topic.
Well, actually, there were 100,000 pro-Palestinian people left in the DMC about a block away, and there were 1,000 cops there to keep them away from entering. So who knows what would have happened if the cops not been there.
Yeah, that's true. They did surround the embassy, and they're very violent people. And I was actually at a mass arrest of a Free Palestine event, and I have all the clips on YouTube. They're my most successful videos, and many of the protesters were Jewish. And I said, "Why are you guys doing this?" They said, "We got to stop the war machine." And I said, "Good Shabbos." They said, "Good Shabbos." They weren't angry, violent people. They were smart, young, educated people who are basically opposed to regime change or forever wars. And I mean, Hamas is not a regime change. This is an anti-terrorist operation. I mean, the Palestinian people are free and will be free, but they have been co-opted by a terrorist Islamist organization, and it's obvious. They have to be destroyed, and the Palestinians have to start fresh anew again after Hamas is destroyed.
I agree.
Yeah, but Hamas, didn't get the memo. They don't want that memo because they don't care.
They didn't get the memo. Have you seen the Gaza Strip? That's the fucking memo.
Yep. But they still haven't gotten
I haven't gotten the memo. That's the fucking memo.
100,000 protesters and only 1,000. How is that possible?
It's possible. Cops are armed. It's possible. This is Chicago.
That's like 1 to 100, and that's insane.
Yeah, well, it worked out fine.
That's amazing. Huh?
but they are calling to globalizing Intifada, and it will happen.
Well, you're the bearer of good tidings today.
I mean, it's already happening in Europe, and it's already happening in Israel, and it will also happen in the United States, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thanks.
What is?
The Intifada.
Intifada is an uprising or coup d'etat? What's it like?
Intifada is basically killing people.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they would say that it's like they say that jihad is like a spiritual yada yada yada. That's bullshit, okay? Intifada, this is why we call it the first Intifada and the second Intifada. And it costs many, many lives. And it includes a lot of explosives. It's nothing people they want to globalize.
But
What are you talking about, Daniel? It's the religion of peace. What are you talking about?
soldiers against their country?
No, it's against people. It's it's going taking like making basically terror attack, basically blowing something up. It could be a synagogue, it could be a car. I mean, they had like a Taylor Swift concert that they wanted to, I don't know what to do there. This is globalizing intifada, just blowing shit up for attention.
Also, basically attacking anti-Semitism, basically, right?
No, not attacking anti-Semitism, and just blowing shit up. It doesn't have to be like even those people on Seven of October, they didn't know who they're killing. They didn't like, oh, what do you believe in? Like Muslim? Are you Jewish? Are you Zionist? Are you leftist? No, they just like wham bam slaughtered them. All about the fact that you live in the United States, so listen, and that you live in Israel,
Hey, read the title.
I saw an example today on Twitter. There's like one of the most pro-terror guy, Sunni man. He's from the UK. I don't know how much this guy is not positive. So what he's doing a lot, he's taking pictures of poor people on Syria with melted faces because of like Assad, and puts a Palestinian flag, and then everybody's like talking shit about Israel. Syria. No one cares about what Assad is doing. Like even he's like using it's evil in two folds. It's evil because A, he cares about like, the actual people that are suffering, and it's evil because it's blaming people that has nothing to do with this with those crimes. So it's like a double crime. Because it is happening. It's not like it's like an archive picture and said something similar is happening. And no one cares about those people in Syria or in many other places. Like no one really gives a fuck. No one. That all those pro-humanity people don't call it.
That's what I mean. What, like, I keep on asking, right? If it was like, let's say the Hamas were Jews as well, like, do you still support Hamas? That's the question, right? That's one thing I really want to ask the pro-Palestinians. If Hamas was Jewish as well, do you still support Hamas?
I mean, asking nonsensical questions like that don't take us anywhere. And I challenge everyone in this room to refrain from asking questions. I would encourage you just to state your opinions because your questions are one of the fundamental problems, and you are turning tragedy into propaganda.
I agree with Adrian. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm trying to find out, is it more of a race or religion thing, or is it like maybe something else?
That's a better question than the one Fran.
Take your opinion, because open questions, I mean, don't lead us to anywhere. I mean
now you're
nobody's going
getting
to answer your question.
You're getting about as clear a picture of moral failure as you can possibly get when people are blaming Netanyahu for hostages being shot by Palestinians. It's like, what fucking world are you living in? Doesn't even make any sense. So,
yeah, and they are blaming him for not having agreed on the terms of the terrorists. And I've had this question in my head for a couple of days since that happened, and I asked Roy and Daniel about it, and also some more guys that have been in the military in the US. But when you say we're not going to negotiate with terrorists, you really need to mean it, you know? And I know that there are hostages and there needs to be done whatever it takes to get them back. But you have, I mean, either way you're going to have to pay a price. If you negotiate with them, you might put in danger your whole country. And if you do not negotiate with them, you might lose the hostages. And I know it's horrible, but where is the line? Where is the decision? You know, like how does a fucking prime minister or
based on false premises that they believe. One of those false premises is that Hamas can't be defeated. You know, the free world defeated Nazi Germany at great cost, but somehow a terror group that controls about 350 square kilometers can't be defeated, even though they're completely isolated from their supplies. They can be defeated. It only takes the will to do so.
I agree with you that an ideology can't be defeated. It will, stay generation after generation. However, how that ideology is platformed or enforced is different. So, and we always talk about Nazism, Nazis still exist. Like the mentality still exists, and whatever they cannot have any power in the government, they are not moving in the name of Nazism. I don't know if I explained it.
Isa, can I just interrupt and just say two things for the sake of the room that I hope people agree with? One is that everybody gets 60 seconds to speak, and two is save your fucking questions for your mama.
Thank you. We have, hold on. We've got 2 months already. We don't need a third one. Thank you. But Caleb, go ahead, guys.
I want 62 seconds. I want 62 seconds.
Let's just not speak over each other, and everything will be fine. And today, Daniel and I will try to be more calm and less interruptive if you guys are willing to not speak over each other. Go ahead.
One of the things that I'm hearing from my friends and family in Israel is a kind of breaking of the social contract that's explicit and implicit in Israel, that you give us your boys and girls for 2 and 3 years, and we will do anything for them. I'm hearing this a lot, and a mistrust and a disappointment. And this is something to consider. This is just something to consider.
This is putting emotion ahead of reason. And it's just people's willingness to trade one life today for 10 dead bodies tomorrow. And that's not actually a good trade, and that causes civilization to break down.
Yeah, I'm not saying do it, don't do it. I'm saying this is a phenomenon that's existing right now. And people are, I wouldn't put a percentage on it, because I don't know, but the people that I'm hearing, Israelis, right, are like sort of crestfallen at this. And it's something to think about. I agree it's emotional, but I don't, and I wouldn't say like that's the entire whole way to make a decision. But
How do you know you're not just projecting personally?
The government and the state of Israel has made this arrangement, and that I think is a sacred and should be taken into account.
The people are the government, and they want to live in the Middle East where they're surrounded by people who hate them and want to kill them. But the question is, if you give in to blackmail, how can you expect anything but more blackmail? And after October 7, if that's not the end of it, well, where does it end?
Thanks for not listening to the thing that I contributed. That's one.
Well, yeah, we get it. They feel bad. They got hostages. They're probably going to die. People need to accept that if they want to survive themselves. This isn't fun. It's not a game. People, if you want to minimize the stakes and think you can get everything you want in life, well, what fucking planet are you living on? Because that just ain't how it is.
Listen, I think you have to understand that everything implies war. And this is human history. If you study books from 2,000 years ago, 400 years ago, it's just war, 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 war. And it's a sick cycle. But the military industrial complex, through a $40 trillion budget, yeah.
Hey, your mic is bad and you're a bit on it.
Thank God he was in the Matrix.
Also, your breath isn't that great.
Well, that's because the majority of us don't like to get bombed and killed and raped and murdered and all of these other things. people out there perfectly willing to do that if you give them a chance, and we know that. That's why we have this thing called civilization that can keep evil at bay through different institutions, including the military. So, Israel thought that they could forget about the Palestinians strategically while blocking the missiles out of the sky or something. That turned out to be a bad idea. But now that you know that, you have to follow through. Otherwise, you end up back where you were, except the terrorists will have scored a major propaganda victory. And that's their main weapon. They can't stand up to the tanks and the planes and the drones and thousands of uniformed, trained troops. But when it comes to propaganda, they win. So the best way to defeat their propaganda is to defeat them militarily and silence them. And then you win, and it's a propaganda victory for Israel on top of the military victory. Anything short of that is a major defeat and just sets the clock ticking for an even bigger October 7th.
And that is the thing, and it's also something I have been saying in regards to the government of the U.S. When it came to the execution of the 2 U.S. citizens a couple of days ago, and it's that you don't necessarily need to go in and send soldiers or send whatever, you don't need to put your people at risk. But these people in the Middle East, they only respond to power, to complete power and no mercy. So if you show weakness by wanting to negotiate, by wanting to get into an agreement, by giving them an opportunity to choose what will happen after they attack you and they rape you really completely like a country, it's like, what should be your position? You should be as strong as a monster so that they don't have willingness to even look at you anymore.
Yeah, but diplomacy is still intelligence.
Israel needs to do that, especially because in the very vulnerable geographic situation that they have, which are surrounded by quote-unquote enemies, they need to have a strong position. Otherwise, they will be dealing with this forever, and it's not a way of living.
Just look at Iran. Iran threatened all this shit, but the U.S. came out and said, well, if you do it one more time, we're going to hurt you bad. And look, nothing happened. So, it does work. And then when it comes to diplomacy needs to be strategic too. When you do diplomacy with guys like Yasser Arafat, who had no real interest in a permanent peace, then you undermine all of the moderates who did. You need to do diplomacy with reasonable people, not terrorists. They need to be simply defeated so that you can clear the deck for other people to arrive. So, it's not just a question of just negotiating with any enemy. You have to negotiate with reasonable people if you want to get a reasonable result. But when you negotiate, you give in to terrorists, that hurts the moderates. It makes them look like idiots. And just shows that what gets results is blackmail.
That's right. I read a quote recently, and actually I copied it. It says, if an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance needs not to be feared. So basically, if you actually have to hit because you have to, in this case, in self-defense, you need to make sure that this harm you're doing is so severe that you are not going to be afraid of expecting any revenge from them. I look at, and I think about Hiroshima, Nagasaki. This was a disaster for the Japanese, but it was so strong that it actually, how and it was over. And they knew who they were messing with. I feel that, yeah, it might be horrible. It doesn't mean that I like to kill people. I'm not advocating for genocide, but I think that Israel has been way too good to the Gazans after what they did on October 7th.
Well, I think Bibi for the first time, Issa, is hitting with all of Israel's available force, short of, DEFCON 3, which, okay, it's so much, let me put it this way, more than I've ever seen before in my lifetime. It's an extraordinary amount of force, and I think it's the right thing to do. And in the subject of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, don't forget that Japan is one of the most genocidal empires that ever existed. They gratuitously slaughtered Korean people, Chinese people, Filipino people, even as they were being defeated in the Philippine Islands and they were retreating. They were gratuitously murdering Filipino people for no reason. They had no justification. And you can remember Hitler too. Even after he was losing the war, he continued to kill Jews when he could have put those resources against the Germans or against the Allies. So when you're fighting people who are declared openly that they're genocidal, as with Hamas, and I'm agreeing with you completely, you have to clobber them so that they understand that they've been clobbered. And the sweet, the ironic thing is now, oh, you're hitting us too hard, oh my gosh. And this is exactly what they asked for. I mean, they literally begged for it. And in fact, they invite their own death, which again, in my book, is not really sustainable. So some things I'm saying the obvious.
Israel has trained them to do this by giving in to this pressure before, by never completely destroying them as necessary before. They've trained them that when they cry to the world, that stops Israel. And you see it again today. The UK just put an arms embargo a partial arms embargo on Israel. Well, that's, literally the day after the terrorists shot people in the head in a tunnel. So, nothing is going to put more wind in their sails than that. Nothing is going to prove more that the Palestinians are on the right track to destroying Israel than an arms embargo from the UK. So it's a big mistake. And, as usual, Israel's going to have to go it alone in the end. The U.S. has oceans to protect us. The UK is overrun by Islamists. So, Israel's on their own. And, the faster you get it done, the better.
Israel's not on its own. Israel is in a better position than it's ever been in because it is now inarguably, indisputably the dominant military and economic power in the region. And it is both the Arab nations and the United States really only defense or main defense against the threat of the Iranian regime. That's a place that Israel has never been before, and it's very desirable. So you'll notice nobody, you can do an arms embargo, but nobody's going to stop Israel from wiping out the terrorists. Nobody will stop it, and there'll be plenty of people willing to sell us arms if the UK and even if the United States decides not to. I mean, us buying arms from us. I don't know who the S is here. Israel buying arms from the United States. It helps the United States at least as much as it helps Israel. Well, this is really tragic, but I think it's heading in the right direction. And again, I feel tragic for Israel. I also have roughness for the Arabs who are dying because, as the title of this book says, they're being misled. They're getting terrible, they have terrible leadership that doesn't mind to see them die.
I fully agree. Yeah, I don't know. So the reason for the title is because we're always hearing a lot of positions, that are like very, I think, ill-intended. Like what we're talking right order to protect their people, you see like headlines on the media trying to turn that into like, oh my God, Israel is evil. They want to genocide Palestine. And it's like, what do you expect that they should do in order to protect their country? And people are like, yeah, well, but to protect themselves, they need to kill us. Well, they need to do whatever it takes. And they have not killed anyone. They're not looking to kill anyone. But yeah, I don't know. I lost my track.
Can I just point out that, like, though we may have political opinions, this app still deals a lot with psychology or emotional state of mind from whatever the first person user's perspective is, and then they can transmit their emotional state through you and cause, you to have an anger management disruption. And so I'm just saying that in terms of like the wars of the future or trying to do reconciliation, I've been to Jordan twice, I've been to Israel twice, and I love everyone there. Like everything is great. Just, violence sucks, and there is no violation of law, anything greater than violence. When you actually kill someone, I mean, that's when the law and justice 100% takes effect and you face repercussions for that violence. And that is what a lot of these Islamists on this app can never admit or discuss, that you're guilty of a crime if you commit violence. That's the biggest problem in society, is violence.
One thing I don't understand about like the pro-Palestinians is why are they so aggressive, as if they think that the war would end if somebody follows their opinion, right?
Well,
I
I'm
don't
just
think they really want the war to end. They just want Israel to lose. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that the pro-Palestinians, I think that they're not really pro-Palestinians. They're just anti-Israel and anti-Jewish. So they don't care like who are they associating with as long as they have the same objective. This is where the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's kind of like a tactic that I'm seeing here.
Well, right, because think about these Hamas leaders. They go on TV and they're like, well, the nation has to make sacrifices to be liberated, blah, blah, blah. You don't hear Palestinians and all these Palestinians in the West and civil society speaking up and being like, no, not in my name. Don't sacrifice us. We don't want to be sacrificed. Stuff like that. No. They just sit back and they hope that it might work someday. They hope that it doesn't hammer their own back. So yeah, they are guilty of half of this thing.
When your hotel room is your bedroom, and your living room, and your dining room,
and profit from it. So they're guilty of terrorism too, but they leave it at every turn.
In my opinion, they should have the balls as well.
They're like girls or something, They're just like, they're doing takriya or whatever. This art of lying as systematically as possible. So, I mean, it's working for them, more or less. It needs to be disrupted more thoroughly.
Yeah, I see. But I haven't even seen like a pro-Palestinian going to Gaza. Like, at least back in like World War II, I believe. Like a lot of the I think Ethiopians were volunteering to fight the war in Ethiopia against the Italians back in the day. But I haven't seen a pro-Palestinian go to Gaza and fight the war there. Why don't they want to fight the war there? It's like, if you're really that pro-Palestinian, volunteer yourself, go to Gaza.
Now, sacrificing others. They know they can't win head-to-head against tanks. So they try to fight in the battlefield where they do better, which is in the propaganda, public opinion, global public opinion, to try and delegitimize Israel over time Israel that they just give up. That's their strategy, not trying to beat them on the battlefield. They know that that doesn't work.
Some idiots are going with this. Many idiots in the West. They think that they will be immune for it. They think that they are their friends, like the Queers for Palestine, which might be the dumbest group of people on earth.
Well, if Israel really wanted to get serious about business, wouldn't they do commando raids in Qatar?
I think that basically the international community should start speaking out against Qatar. Qatar is kind of playing like we are a legitimate country. We have Qatar Airlines, do like sports and no, you sponsor terrorism. You oppose Hamas. You host Al Jazeera. You should be split out from the Western world. Go be with your friends in Iran and the Islamic Republic, and they should not be welcome in the West.
Daniel, they have a ridiculous amount of oil and a ridiculous amount of money. And that covers a lot of sins. I think the United States, politically and economically, can't afford to alienate sources of oil. It's enough that we're already distance ourselves from Iran. But we got to be very careful. They're all related. They all come from the same family. They all know each other. Also, the U.S. government is infiltrated by Iranian agents and Palestinian supporters. They're all over the State Department. They're all over Biden's cabinet. You have people who are complete strategic boneheads in these top positions, whether it's the Secretary of Defense, whether it's the National Security Advisor. These guys are strategic idiots. And then you have the president, who the day after hostages get killed is putting more pressure on Netanyahu. I mean, that's insane. He's clearly completely lost the plot. So, I actually support Trump now. I see that the Democrats, there's no future in where they're taking things. They are true idiots. Now, Trump may be bad in many, many ways, but at least he's got a backbone. And that's really what the world needs this time. Someone to stand up to the psychopaths and is willing to hit them with a hammer. Because otherwise, they chip away at the foundation of our society and then it all crumbles. So we really are in a